another day of trying to YouTube and be on here talking about what's going on. Give me a second. I'll be right back. Good morning, good morning. How is everyone today? Me and XIlyana, I am a musician, an artist, makeup artist, I guess, LGBTQIA icon, I'm a musician, I'm a human rights advocate, and I'm a veteran with PTSD from military sexual trauma. Um, it's been rough today. Normally, I have women trying to break into my apartment. Today, I had a man knocking on my door and ringing my doorbell. It freaked me out. Hi, Clint. Welcome to the channel today. Soulmate, I'm happy to see you. I'm happy to be able to speak to people. I don't know what's going on with LA. The intimidation is frequent. But I am wearing my Maybelline Superstay Matte Ink liquid lipstick again today as a way to protest. You know, I was walking the dog and I saw a fellow neighbor just get into a vehicle, but the vehicle was one of those Orkin vehicles, you know, the ones with the pesticides. And it made me think, is this how America sees us? Is this how America sees people of color, as some sort of pest, some unsightly thing that they have to use carbon monoxide in order to remove from the planet? It makes me sad. It really does make me sad when I think about how I'm the one person who seems to be affected by the carbon monoxide, the smog, the smoke that is everywhere in LA. Nobody else seems to care. I didn't grow up in LA, so I have functional lungs. I have a sense of smell that hasn't been lessened over years of exposure to dangerous chemicals. So I don't understand LA and its need to just pollute. Clint, you already have an invitation. You just have to click the link and you'll still be able to join this one. I didn't know you were Native American, still made a tracks. Welcome to my channel. I mean, I say I'm an indigenous person, but look at the size of my lips. That's a huge canvas for beauty and art. Amproward, I enjoy being weird. I don't know about you, but I normally look attractive, but with this lipstick on, I look hot. I look exotic. I would date you right now. Yes, I would. I would definitely date me. I have a beautiful smile and everything. I love this. Welcome. How's your internet? I said, how's your internet? You're a little intermittent right now.
Oh, my internet's doing great, man.
Okay,
yeah, I can hear you clearly, and I ain't even got the earphones in. I know it's hard to see through the beard.
Well, I'm trying to keep mine until day 30, I think, or until Marvel says, okay, finally, you got the part for Venom because you want it so badly. So either one of those, I will remove the beard because, yeah, I understand it's a little bit ridiculous because the person who wears makeup doesn't normally wear, a beard.
Yeah.
But I don't have to be conventional. I don't have to be someone who follows the rules.
You can be 100% yourself, brother, at all times. If somebody doesn't like it, they can come talk to me.
Exactly. You got your trolls, man. Me?
Always, brother. Always got trolls, bane. In fact, when we get done with our little chit chat, I'm going to go with the tree.
Army is traumatizing. I was in the Air Force. I don't know anything about the Army traumatizing.
I'll tell you this right now. These are just a couple of stories real quick for me in basic training for the Army. All right. First off, first thing you got to get used to is someone constantly right this close in your face with morning breath, screaming and cussing at you. Most people can't handle that. Second thing you got to get used to, watching people commit suicide. It happens. I saw a guy swan dive head first off of a 2-story building straight onto concrete. Sounded like a watermelon. The next thing you got to get used to is extreme violent outbursts from everybody around you. That's just basic. So I can imagine what it would be like in actual wartime situation where everybody's tense, tight, and on edge. So yeah, Army is traumatizing. So I got blown up in basic training, and I can barely watch fireworks now because of it.
The fireworks day is tomorrow, and I'm dreading it. I'm dreading it because my nerves are just so raw right now. And I just received notice that, yes, another inspection, another illegal search in seizure. And I'm sick and tired of it. It's this time it's the fire department that wants to come and look at my dildo. Like, I have a dildo like there on display, and it's just, this is what you're gonna get if you're gonna walk into my room. You're gonna get to see all my sex toys and basically an apartment. I don't have like drugs and guns everywhere. I don't know what the fuck they're looking for.
Hang on. It's descending into madness. By it, I mean you, of course. What I see here are two very mentally ill folks who couldn't hack it. Yes, I'm mentally ill. I have schizophrenia. So that's why I didn't make it. But I tried.
I have PTSD from military sexual trauma, and I am sometimes really glad that I didn't make it, because can you imagine someone with morning breath, talking to you for 20 years, and you barely climb up the ranks. You barely, do anything. Your whole life revolves around it. You can't just get fat. You can't, speak your mind. You can't do anything. You're locked into something like that. And knowing that right now I can be on camera with lipstick on, my beautiful Maybelline Superstay matte ink liquid lipstick, and protest something that matters, because
Mhm.
the military always has its own food, the military has its own water, they have their own doctors. They're fine. It's the rest of the country that is fucked. It's the rest
And
of us who have no one. Go ahead.
I'm just gonna touch up on what Andy says. Man, I live in the country. I touch grass every day. After I get done with this, I'm going outside and training, and then I'm gonna sit down and meditate under my favorite tree. So yeah, I touch grass. I don't know so much about Ian because he lives in LA, but I've never been there. As far as I know, it's concrete everywhere.
It is, but I live in a Latino ghetto, and for some reason, these people like to be wild. They don't like to be native indigenous for some reason. I don't understand it, but they do like to be wild. So they don't care about our ancient traditions so much, but they do let wild things grow. So nobody mows their lawn.
Okay.
Nobody, tries to tame nature. It's almost as if they can feel a connection there and they can't really handle it. But it's interesting. It really is interesting. I look at some of these, how you walk on a sidewalk and you see that like little patch of grass that's in the
Little
sidewalk.
dead grass growing through.
That's up to here now. That's like
It's not just the concrete jungle.
if you lived in any other state, there would be fines, there would be, just like everyone complaining about it. People are like, did you know that grass could be beautiful? Did you know that grass has flowers? Well, now you do. It grows to like 5, 6 feet, and then all of a sudden it flowers. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. They let nature
Mhm.
run wild. I like that aspect of it, but for some reason they don't care about pollution. It's like if you feel that strongly about nature and you like looking at it, do you not understand that you need trees in your life?
Yeah. I mean, pollinators, trees, all the go from, and I know you can actually reach it from where you're at if you can stand to go outside long enough. Go from LA to Tillicum, Washington. And I'm telling you right now, when you get to Tillicum, you're going to go, holy crap, I feel better. As soon as you take your first breath of all that fresh air, you just feel so much better. Now, I only know this because I live in Southeast Texas. We're surrounded by refineries. We've got a paper mill right up the road, less than an hour away. Less than an hour away, we've got the docks, and then another maybe 45 minutes, we've got four refineries. So yeah, and one of them is a decoking plant. And if you don't know what the process of decoking is, that's the leftovers of charcoal when you burn it. And it's called coke. It's mostly sulfur and a few other things. But they repurpose it and turn it back into coal so it can be burned again. Guys, those plants are filthy. You go walking through one just one time, walk in it and walk right back out. You're going to be blacker than my armor by the time you get back out of there. All you're going to have is when you take them goggles off is a ring around your eyes and your eyeballs. Everything else is black. No, I'm not part of the YMCA.
And I guess I really am the Native American in that group. And you as big as those construction workers, you better work.
I guess I'd have to be the construction worker.
But even so, I'm hearing what you're talking about and the beauty of nature, the beauty of clean, free oxygen. How do people how you're supposed to live? How do people not know that it's good for you to feel a part of nature, to understand that you have a role to play here, and it's not just manufacture coal. You know, it's supposed to be you tend the forest. You tend the forest. You go into the forest as a part of the forest. Just like a polar bear has its job in the Arctic, we have a job too.
Yep.
It's to be hunters, it's to be gatherers, it's to take mushrooms. As much as we want to say that we evolved from a common primate, it's not exactly true. We evolved from mushrooms. Why do you think that looks like a mushroom? It's mushrooms all around. When
The
you have
fungus
that and it
among
looks like
men.
a mushroom, that should tell you where you really come from. You're a mushroom. Which is why we're so intelligent, because people used to follow this cow-like creature, and it would shit mushrooms that were psychedelic.
Mm-hmm.
So you would be hunting an animal, and then all of a sudden you'd have like an explosion of imagery and thought, and you can say, "Yeah, I could, but what if I just put a tripwire right there? What if I put a snare for a rabbit?" We started to
I use
evolve,
this rope
and we kept
to carry
using that. And for some reason, because it's a holy thing, it's a holy sacrament, people shut the door on that. People shut the door on that. They shut the door on wine. You can have a religious experience off of wine, which is why it was a holy communion. It's communion to give people wine, because they would have a religious experience through it. They would see something that's beyond the normal human plane. But these gatekeepers keep closing the gate to human exploration, and they keep trying to plug us into technology. You know, is this supposed to give you spiritual guidance? Whatever you plug this into, your little USB things, you plug your cell phone, you plug yourself into your cell phone. But it's not the same exact thing as living for yourself, living for divine truth. When you know that there is something out there and can teach you something, that's a beautiful feeling.
Yeah. And dude, I hate to rag on your people a little bit here, but have you seen
Cliff,
the video?
I can hear you.
You can't hear me? All right, hang on. I gotta go in the living room.
I have PTSD from military sexual trauma. It is service related. It's well documented. I have a lawyer who's supposed to be looking into what's going on there. So that's all.
Let's see if this works. Can you hear me better now, friend?
That's weird.
You can't hear me at all?
Yeah. Give it a second. Technical difficulties, everyone. This is what happens when you do a live.
Well, it's also especially what happens when you do a dual live.
It's amazing. Give me a second. I'll try and come back in.
All right.
I don't know why I can't hear him at all.
How about now, brother?
There it is.
You can hear me now?
Sorry. Yes, I can. Thank you.
All right. No problem, man. I had to go get my headphones. So it seems to, for some reason, amplify not just my voice, but it amplifies yours as well, so it makes it easier for me to hear you too. That just comes from the fact that my left ear doesn't work at all. You know, whenever I got caught in that grenade blast, that was the only thing that was affected because my earplug fell out while I was climbing up underneath the Striker APC. And when the explosion went off, you know, sound wave travels out. You know, the shrapnel went up, but sound waves travel outward. And the sound wave hit my left side and completely obliterated my inner left ear. You know, it was too much decibels for me to handle because I was only about maybe 20 feet away from the damn thing. So, definitely helps. What do you mean, truth, man? Why do we have this appearance? I dress in my armor because it's traditional for my people. You know, and not only that, but because I enjoy to wear it, and I'm about to go out and train here in a little bit with my axe.
I wear my makeup because it's war paint, and my Native American ancestors would use war paint. They would use makeup. Men would wear makeup. Men would have war paint all over their face. And I live an indigenous life. I'm not trying to fit into traditional America at all. I don't have to wear baggy jeans. I don't have to, you know, wear boots. I can wear sandals. I could go barefoot. I could do whatever the world I want because I'm my own person. I don't have to be defined by the rules of a society that has done everything to shove me away. It's not just that I am a weird person. America shoved me away. America sexually abused me. At this point, I don't have to fit into anything. I can do my own thing. But mostly, I wear my Maybelline Superstay Matte Ink Liquid Lipstick to protest carbon monoxide poisoning through pollution in the Los Angeles area, because nobody wants to talk about the effect of having a pack of cigarettes, or maybe 2 or 3 packs, since that phrase came out, 2 or 3 packs of cigarettes floating in the air at all times.
Mm-hmm. I mean, traditional for my people, Dracul, because I am Norse by descent. And if you go to train with an axe, you're wearing your armor when you go to do it. You know, and that's my people. But now, what he's getting at here is, in case you guys didn't know, if you have carbon monoxide poisoning, your lips turn blue, your cheeks turn pink, and your fingertips turn pink, but your fingernails turn purple. So that's why he's wearing blue lipstick to protest that, because your lips literally turn blue from carbon monoxide poisoning.
It's cyanosis. I wish that there was a larger conversation about this issue. I really do. And as far as people saying, well, get a fucking job, this is technically a job. What I'm doing here is, because I have PTSD, I can't go outside, I can't relate with people. The fact that someone's going to invade my apartment, I'm gonna have like 3 firemen in my apartment. Whatever. It gives me too much anxiety. But that doesn't mean that I stopped functioning completely. It just means that I have to function differently. And the way that I'm functioning, I have to speak up for my Latino people, because my Latino people, they came to this neighborhood, they all move here, and they're super excited because they can say, well, now I'm brown, this person's brown like me, this person's brown like me, we're all brown together, we can do what we want here, it's an amazing thing. And it's like, no, because here's what happened. America corralled all the Latino people and shoved them into this neighborhood. And then they said, do you want to buy a gun? Fine, we'll sell you a gun. Do you want to buy a car? Yeah, we'll sell you a car. And guess what? You know what they do with all of their freedom and all of their unity? They shoot each other in gang wars, and then they back up their cars into your kid's face. Not to hit it, but to just put carbon monoxide straight into a kid's face. And no one wants to talk about it, but I will.
Mm-hmm. And now, no, we are not dating. I am a straight man. He is trans, but I'm straight. I just support people. Hello from
Hello,
Ireland. We are literally talking about carbon monoxide poisoning and just things that are facing the world today. You know, the difference is we're seeing it from a straight white male perspective and a gay multinational perspective. You know, so we are literally seeing it, you know, from both sides of the coin. That's what we're trying to show all you people. You know, because me and him can actually debate without being mad at each other, which is something that this world has lost. We can no longer debate. We have to argue. We have to fight. We have to get violent. And that's not true. We could literally just sit here and be like, well, man, I disagree on that for this reason, and leave it at that. You know, guys, because that's why I said I had to harp on him a little bit for just a little bit, harp on his side, for the simple fact that I seen a video today of a chick that was non-binary that claimed she was an indigenous person and got mad because she was going to get arrested for a DUI, thinking she couldn't get arrested because she was non-binary. So I had to pick on him a little bit about that. But
Okay.
I know he wouldn't be that way.
I don't subscribe to driving under the influence. I subscribe to drugs. Drugs are amazing, and I will very adamantly talk about it. I think, we do have a problem with drugs. We're not taking them enough. I think we see the world a little too straight sometimes, and it doesn't give you that feeling. Like when you take marijuana, when you take other drugs, you sometimes feel a universal pull. You feel an attraction to a simple way of life, not just technology, not just selfishness. Now, I want to help people, but because of my PTSD and the fact that Los Angeles has sexually assaulted me, no, I'm not going to go out into the world. And it doesn't mean that I stopped caring about the world. And what you're talking about with this person with the driving under the influence, I don't have a problem with the influence part. I have a problem with the driving, because how many people are bad drivers? How many people drive on bad roads? Now, if you want
Exactly.
to single this non-binary person out because she's being a little bit of a bitch right there, a little bit of an asshole, fine. You could do that. You could do that. But could you also talk about how the roads themselves are hazardous, even to a person who has all their faculties and can pass any sobriety test?
Oh, yeah,
The
I
road
could jump on that
itself
real
are
quick. I could jump on that real quick because she wasn't the only one I saw. I saw a video of a straight white woman who was very upset that she got pulled over because she blew a tire and slammed into somebody's tail end and drove off. Now, she did blame it on the road, and the cop did say, I saw you hit the pothole and I saw your tire pop. But you were too close to the person in front of you and you hit their taillight. So therefore, I have to give you a citation. Reasonable, right? This woman pulls out pepper spray and tries to pepper spray the cop for doing his job. And guys, I am legally crazy. I have schizophrenia. I am absolutely 100% nuttier than a squirrel turd and twice as chewy, but even I know when something's wrong, unless I'm off my meds. And then that's why I take my medication. But it's the simple fact that, there are people out there that can put cognitive thought together. And just because I'm schizophrenic and epileptic, which is why I can't work, the state of Texas literally sits there and says epilepsy is too much of a condition for anyone to be able to work in this state. And it's because, guys, I take 2,000 milligrams of my Premedone every single day just to keep my seizures in check, and I still have 2 to 3 a month. So they're like, that's too much. So by the state of Texas laws and regulations, I cannot work. So I am on disability. But I am not letting that stop me. I'm trying to create my own business and go on to work anyway and get out from underneath disability because I don't believe I need it.
Some people were being rude in the comments, so I had to handle it. I know that you're doing the best you can, and I appreciate you coming on the channel and speaking your mind because you're an American citizen. I'm an American citizen. I know I don't sound like one, but
No, you don't.
I'm still an American citizen. I have freedom of speech. So if I want to talk about, the real issue of what's going on in that situation, I will. And for me, it's not just that woman pepper sprayed a cop, which, by the way, you should really just leave in the video games. You see, this is what you get when you get a GTA society. You get people who grow up and think that you could pull that shit in real life. It's a fucking video game. If you don't know the difference between imagination and real life, you have serious issues. But
Mm-hmm.
two, that is the most ridiculous situation whatsoever. I want to, this is why you need to have people like me out in the world, even with the PTSD, because I want to be in that courtroom as a juror and say, where were you going?
Yeah.
Where were you going, young woman, that you felt it was that important that you're riding someone's tail light, and then also you don't look where the pothole is, and then three, that you felt so inconvenienced that you pepper sprayed a cop. So like three things went wrong there. And I just want to ask, where were you going? And I need to know, was it worth everything? Because you'll lose everything.
Oh,
Or
yeah,
was it
she
worth
lost everything. She lost everything because the cop walked up, knocked on her window, she rolled it down, she pepper sprayed him, screaming police brutality. He never even did anything but knock on her window. She rolled it down, police brutality, police brutality, police brutality, and just started spraying him in the face. Well, she takes off. She ain't going very far with a flat fucking tire, but she takes off. And of course, she gets caught literally less than a mile up the road. And they ask, several cops step out. And she steps out, looks around. She goes, oh my God, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. I'm like, they're cops. They're not there to shoot you. You had a simple traffic citation. And then you decide to resist arrest and assault an officer. So yeah, now you in trouble. Now you in some deep doo-doo. And guys, I do want to say this real quick. For the guy that left a comment of what's wrong with my teeth, my Primidone, my actual medication that I take every day to take care of my seizures and my schizophrenia, has ruined my teeth. Not only that, but 6 years being homeless ruined my teeth. And the one thing I did that messed up my teeth was smoking. I smoke tobacco and I smoke out of a pipe. So there's no filter, and that has ruined my teeth. That is what's wrong with them. I brush them every day, twice a day. But they're just falling apart from unfortunate circumstances, except for the smoking. That's just me being stupid, which is why I'm trying to quit. So that just answers that question for you guys.
You deserve to be yourself, and you can't listen to a bunch of people on YouTube who, quite frankly, they're in the audience. And to the person who says, I don't think that you're the person to represent anyone, Mr. Blue Lips, I'm the person to represent people. I'm certainly the person to represent people because I'm fighting for them. These people have sexually assaulted me. These people have physically assaulted me, but that didn't deter me from hopping on YouTube and talking about their safety. That didn't deter me from being a firefighter for them. I don't have to like them. I'm just going to bring them out of a burning building. That's the kind of
Yeah.
person that I am. Tell me any politician that is willing to do that for you. Tell me any politician that drafts up petitions to try and save people from pollution, try to save Eastern Kentucky from people befouling their drinking water, tries to save people from shopping on Amazon and having to deal with chemicals like cadmium, lead, and arsenic in your food that you get when you think is cheap, but you don't read what is in your food. Who's fighting
No.
against that? Because that's not your politician, that's me. So yeah, I'm the person to represent people. I am definitely the person to represent people.
And you see, when it comes down to me, I try to help as many people as I can. But like I told you, my charity got hacked. I lost all but $1. And people just aren't willing to donate for charity anymore. I want to help a school in Ghana, Africa, for a dear friend of mine named XIlyana, who's here on YouTube. She's got a wonderful classroom. They've got 3 pencils, 1 pen, and 2 markers to share amongst the entire classroom. No textbooks, no paper, none of that stuff. So I wanted to send her $200. So this person decides they're going to hack my Cash App and take what money I had, specifically for her and a state park here in Southeast Texas where I grew up at. I actually grew up on this park, and I'm trying to help save money for these 2 people. And instead, somebody wants to steal it. That's just not right. And we have people out here that are trying to fight for other human beings that want a better life, for not just for themselves, but for everyone. And most of us ignore these people. Most of us look at us like we're crazy. Most of us look at us like we've got a mental illness or something like that, guys. But in reality, some of us just want to help. And we do certain things to protest for the simple fact that it's what we can think of. Guys, some of us aren't very great protesters. I wear my armor and I train every day, and that's because I don't believe in being out of shape. I don't believe in being too heavy. I would rather be where I am right now, which, believe it or not, I found out today exactly how much I weigh now. I'm right at 198. I'm only 3 pounds away from my goal weight. Not only that, but I'm in a 34 for the first time since junior high. Guys, and it's because these people are talking about fat phobia, body, don't body shame, everything like that. I'm not body shaming, guys. I'm showing that it doesn't matter how big you look good, because I was 250 pounds come January 17th of this year. Now I'm down to 198. My next goal weight is going to be 185, and we're going to see if I can reach that without looking anorexic. Thank you, soulmate. Oh, hang on. I can't hear you, brother.
Okay, 1 second. I was going to read Butter Squish. Bruh, one looks like a wizard and the other is a cyberpunk character. I will take that. I will take that. I know, Clint, you have a lot of thoughts on this issue, but I have to say, wouldn't you actually like to be? Wouldn't you actually like to be? If you knew that magic was real, and in LA, everyone knows magic is real because they literally see me do it. I do spells every single day in public, every day. So
I do rituals.
At this point, yeah, magic is real. You want to feel comfortable, and why not look like a wizard? Who in the world decides what you look like? Am I supposed to wear look? I would love to wear Versace, but I would love to wear a Versace suit. I'm not going to wear a Versace t-shirt and pretend like I can afford a Versace suit. If I have a Versace suit, it's because I can afford a Versace suit. So if I don't, then guess what? I'm going to wear what I feel like. And yeah, a cyberpunk character. That's who I am. I'm actually speaking to CD Projekt Red about maybe doing a project with them at some point.
And the whole reason, guys, for our viewers, for those who are like, why are you two even talking? The whole reason why I do this is to show we can get along. We can actually be normal freaking people. We ain't got to fight each other all the damn time. you know, and that's why I sit here with my friend Ian and I enjoy myself because I think he's a smart man. I think he's got some great insight. He's got a big heart, you know, and he wants to take care of everybody. But it's people that just don't want to take him seriously. And as far as us being, you know, the world being doomed, you know, guys, it's not our generation that's doing it. Have you seen Gen Alpha? Have you seen Gen Z? These guys are insane. All right? They are absolutely knuckin' butts. Okay? They have nothing in their heads. They can't read. They can't do math. They can't write. They can't even form a sentence. They can't tell you who the main character of a single sentence is. You know, and that's a serious problem. That's why we doomed. It ain't because I'm a schizophrenic and he's a transsexual. It has nothing to do with that. That's a life choice when we became adults. Okay? Except for the schizophrenia part. I kind of had no choice on that. I was born with it.
But you didn't have the opportunity. I'm going to be moving around a bit, but while I talk
Oh,
about
go
this,
ahead.
you didn't have the opportunity to think, hey, there's a part of me that I need to explore. There's a part of me that I need to develop. People look at something like schizophrenia and they immediately think of it as a mental illness, but it's an evolutionary device. It really is. It's a part of evolution. It's not just that you have a different way of seeing the world. It's there is another part of the world that you need to be made aware of. There's a reason why you have what you have. It's because you are a Viking equivalent of a shaman. You're supposed to be leading people. Everyone thinks doctor, lawyer, construction worker. They don't think spiritual healer. That's
Sage.
something that happens in Native American tribes. That's what happens in Viking tribes, in Hindu tribes. They have people who say, "Yeah, your body can get sick, and your body can fall apart. But what about your mind? What about your spirit? Who's supposed to fix that? Because your doctor can fix a broken arm, but your broken heart, your broken mind, like who's supposed to heal that except someone who says, I can see it. I can see it in my mind's eye. I can see the monsters that are in this world. You talk about the monsters that you see and you draw and everything. There are monsters in this world. There are monsters in this world. I'm trying to fight against smog and pollution. Do you think you can see smog and pollution? Some people can when it's really thick, but I'm fighting against something that you cannot see.
This is what I see. One of them. I see multiple things. But this is just one of the many things I see. You know, and that's one of the many things I draw as a schizophrenic. If you feel uncomfortable, leave. That's all you got to do. But I've seen many, many, many horrible, terrible things being a schizophrenic. And I've seen them since I was a very small child. So it's made me kind of numb to scary stuff. And like we got in a car wreck one time and my friends were all picking on me because they're all freaking out and screaming while the car's spinning around and I'm finishing a cigarette. You know? And I seem to have this feeling that, yes, we're going to see a rise of actual mental illness. Shuck, hush, baby. But we're going to see a rise of actual mental illness. And we're going to see, yes, this is a Thor's hammer. Yes, I'm a pagan. 100% pagan. I'm not Christian. I even have Thor's hammer for a ring. And I wear a Yarmagander band. Shut, baby. Hush. No reason to be barking, okay? No reason to be barking, baby. I can't hear anybody. You're loud as hell. But, you know, who else hears Twilight Zone music? You know what? If I'm in the Twilight Zone, that's cool because, you know, my life's already a horror novel as it is. You know, so I definitely try to take and try to make my life the best it is. And yes, I am considered by the state of Texas to be completely disabled, even though I do not believe that I am. And I'm trying to make my own business. I'm trying to grow my own, you know, company to be able to take and mass produce knives, walking staves, armor, things of that sort. Hello, Davey. But yeah, go ahead.
Let's see. Yeah, that should be fun. Okay, I'm just glad to have a person like you out in this world. People talk about jobs as if it really gives you spiritual sustenance. We had a conversation on the last show where someone said, you know, if you're a person who does delivery and you go into a poor neighborhood, they tip you really, really well. But a rich person doesn't usually tip at all. And I have my own, you know, psychic abilities. I looked further into it and I said, there's something there. There's something there. So I did my own soul searching and I said, some rich people don't tip because they're an asshole. And then some don't tip because they're trying to shake you out of this idea that that is your whole life. Now, there's nothing against someone who delivers pizzas. Some people want to deliver pizza, and you know that's fine. And some people need to get their pizza delivered. But that's not the same exact thing as going to college. That's not the same exact thing as reaching for your goals. It's not the same exact thing as moving out of your parents' basement. Like there's a certain maturity level. Like if you were 16 to maybe 21 and you're a delivery driver, I don't really think that badly of you. But if someone hands you, you know, $100 tip and you go, oh my God, this is the most amazing job ever. It's like, yeah, but is that what you're going to do until you're 50? Are you going to drive around and give people pizza for, you know, is that it? And even if you think about what you really want in life, I don't think people really want these jobs. I don't think anybody really wants to work a job. And I think we're done with that. I think that the future has always been you sit down, you talk with your friends, you play video games, you either masturbate or have sex with your partner, and you live a fucking life. It's not supposed to be you go down to an office like a little bee drone and then you make honey for someone else to enjoy a rich life that you don't get to enjoy. That is the shakeup that I think America needs. America needs to shake itself up and say, why the fuck are you still delivering pizza when a robot can do that? And robots do deliver pizza now. You need a jetpack for a pizza? Domino's did a whole ad of, do you know that we have jetpacks to bring you pizza? And it's just, if you need a jetpack to get a pizza, then there's a problem. You're wherever you are right now, you shouldn't be eating pizza if you need a jetpack to reach you there. Maybe you should be eating some trail mix because you're off the grid.
Trail mix or some pemmican, you know. But one thing that people have lost that I've noticed that Gen Alpha, this youngest generation that's coming up now, I saw a video, a bunch of 7th graders, and the teacher is complaining about how if you can't read, you will not be hired by anybody. And one of the kids in the audience literally goes, nah, I'll just go work at McDonald's. And everybody thought it was hilarious. And the teacher was like, look, thanks to your parents, Gen Z, with the $15 an hour you can earn at McDonald's, they have standards now. And that's very true. McDonald's requires a high school diploma. McDonald's requires that you not have anything on your record for 10 years because they have to pay you $15 an hour to flip a burger. And you ain't even got to flip it. You just place it down and let the clam grill do the rest. So you're actually taking all of the actual work out of it. But these kids, they just want a paycheck. They don't want anything. They just want a paycheck. And guys, I don't believe in that. I believe in working and earning what you have. Guys, I earned this breastplate. I earned these palindromes. I made these palindromes out of a hog I shot. So, you know, learning these kinds of skills, learning blacksmithing, learning gardening, learning hunting, fishing, all these are essential for life, guys, because when the grid fails, which it will one day, when the grid fails, what are you going to do? Are you going to be able to survive, or are you going to starve to death, or are you going to do like what my ancestors did and go raiding, or are you going to disappear quietly into the woods where nobody can see you and live out the rest of your days? I think I would like the last option. Just slip off out into the woods and live out the rest of my days. You know, you come trying to raid my place, though, and I'm going to blow you away. That's just how it is. I'm Texan. I don't care. My castle. And if the gun don't get you, the axe will. You know. And
you want to read a few
yes.
comments? I want to talk about what Gintama says. Do you have time for me to?
Yeah, go ahead, man. I'm just rattling.
Okay, Gintama said, "You need money for food, blue lipstick motherfucker." Okay. Thank you so much for highlighting my beautiful Maybelline Superstay Matte Ink Liquid Lipstick, which I'm using to protest carbon monoxide poisoning of Latinos and people of color, and yes, white people as well. Thank you so much for bringing that up. But also, thank you for bringing up food. Did I send you an email, Clint, about Slither? Did I send you that email?
Yes, you did. And I watched it this morning and I laughed my butt off because it's one of my favorite parts of the show, too.
It's very funny. It's very funny. That whole scene of that woman.
This hurts, bitch.
She just ate everything. She ate cow, she ate possum, she ate anything that she could stick her hands on. Food,
guys, that's what happens when you're hungry.
Food and Brenda, I'm hungry. Those fuckers are eating me alive. Yeah, that's what's going on here. Food in America is not just food. It's so much more. It's food and chemicals. You know, people talk about the transgender community all the time. They don't talk about, well, it comes from something. Sometimes it's you've been abused. I've been abused by the United States Air Force. I was sexually abused. So it comes from that. But then it also comes from the food I eat. You know, I go to restaurants and I swear it's like going to a roach motel, because you go, you pay money for the food, you bring it back to your family, they eat it, but then they get sick. You can't tell me that the food that you get in these fast food restaurants is really nourishing, because most of them have no vegetables on them, or if they do, they're extremely dehydrated vegetables, and you know all of the nutrition is out of it. And then the rest of it is just fat and grease, which you really shouldn't be eating. So food is an issue. And you know what? I made a choice. I made a choice when I purchased this lipstick of, do I want one more food item, or do I want something that says, you know what? As much as I exploded with muscle off from my working out, I have big shoulders and big traps from working out, but it comes from eating the right food. If you want muscle, you don't just eat Cheetos. Not to fuck with Cheetos, but you're not going to gain huge muscles. Arnold Schwarzenegger wasn't eating Cheetos. He was eating steak.
You'll gain
Now,
huge something, but it ain't gonna be muscle.
oh my goodness. I want people to realize that if you work a job and you can afford a steak to eat, there's something fucked up. You
Yeah.
fucked up.
Well, not just you fucked up. The system may have fucked up too, guys. Because look at what teachers are paid. Most teachers here in Southeast Texas do not make any more than $20,000 a year. You know, and that's the most they can make is $20,000 a year. And that's with tenure, guys. So they start out even lower than that. They start out at like $1,200 a month. Or no, $1,200 a year is how much they make as an educator. And they've got to deal with these out of control kids that these new generations have raised. And instead of trying to be parents, they want to be their kid's best friend. You can't be your kid's best friend and discipline them at the same time. And that is what we are lacking in America, big time, is discipline. We're lacking discipline and we're lacking honesty. You know, guys, they tell us, oh, it's an all beef patty. Go have that patty tested, see how much plant fiber's in it. Go have that meat tested, see how much rat is in it. You know, and we sit back and think that this is okay. We're sit back and we're like, oh, this is the best restaurant I've ever eaten at. No, guys, it's terrible. You want to know the best restaurant I've ever eaten at? My own damn dinner table. Why? Because I cooked my own damn food. I hunted it, I shot it, I grilled it, I put it on my plate. If I didn't do that, I grew it. You know, and this has led to me having, even though I've got a little bit of a belly on me, this has led to me having a lot of muscle buildup on the around the chest and shoulders areas, around my legs, you know, because it's more protein than it is all this nonsense. And yes, it is proven that a lot of these chemicals that are put in our foods and our sodas and everything like that can cause mental trauma for young people. That's why if I ever have any kids, they don't get a soda until they're an adult, until their mind has actually matured. Then they can have a soda. Why? Because you give them caffeine and stuff like that, it overstimulates their young minds, and you end up with stuff like bipolar. You end up with stuff like ADHD. When I saw a 5-year-old walking down the road, you know, trying to go to her mom to pick her up from school, and the first thing her mom does is hand her a big cup of Starbucks, I wanted to literally take a rock and smash that Starbucks cup. And it's because she's literally stunting her child's mental development. You know, that has been proven years ago. Years ago. And we're still like, oh, well, it's okay. It's okay. We're just going to do it anyway. No. We have farms for a reason. We have farmer markets for a reason. You know, there are people that raise cattle in your rural area. Go ask how much it is to get a steak. You know, go ask how much it is when they slaughter a cow to get some meat. And if you can't afford it, work for them. Trade for it. See what you have that they don't got, that they want. You know, and it's that simple. Barter or pay. You know, and people don't see that anymore. People see it as, you know, black and white. They don't realize it's a gray area. It's gray. The world is not black and white. It's gray. Not only is it gray, but it's got all other kinds of colors mixed in with it. And that's the reason what makes our world astonishing. That's what makes our world incredible. That's what makes the human race so powerful as it is. You know, guys, and when you turn around and you have these situations where we're literally deciding to stunt the development of our children, or to stunt the growth of our nation, or to stunt the growth of us as a human race, period. You know, guys, when we make those conscientious decisions to do these things, what we're doing is literally saying, I don't care. Let's just die. And that's not right. You know, guys, and that one person earlier was 100% correct. It is not whites versus blacks. It is not gays versus straights. It is not Hispanics versus everybody else. It is not just Iran. What it is it's a problem with human nature. It's a problem with what we've been raised. It's a problem with our education systems. It's a problem with our parenting strategies. These are where these problems come in, guys. And I've raised several kids. They might not have been mine, but I raised them up until they were 15, and that's basically raising a kid. My niece is a prime example. And guess what, guys? Y'all think that I'm crazy and I'm stupid and I'm delusional. My niece works for Yellowstone National Park. My niece has a degree in forestry because of how I've raised her. She is extremely brilliant and very, very smart, to the point where Yellowstone reached out to her and asked her if she wanted to be a part of the park, not her reaching out to them. So it depends on how you raise your children. It depends on how the generation has been raised. And this generation has been raised to hate. This generation has been raised to blame. This generation has been raised to look at everybody else as the problem and not maybe look at yourself as being an issue. Guys, because when I almost died due to the grenade that I suffered in basic training, when I almost died, and I did, my heart stopped a couple times, because the sheer shock of my ear exploding sent me into some pretty bad shit. My heart stopped twice. They had to defibrillate me both times. And it was not good, guys. It scared the hell out of me. So I started thinking. I really did. And one of the things I started realizing was, man, maybe the problem is some of the ways I'm thinking. Maybe I need to change my attitude. And for those of y'all who think I'm, in the closet for my friend Ian here, he's a pretty man, but I ain't into dudes. I like my ladies too damn much. Thank you very much. Mainly because he ain't got big enough ass or tits. He ain't got the right equipment.
I'm hitting that gym. I'm hitting that gym hard.
Yeah, but you ain't got the right equipment, brother.
And I'm glad for it. I'm super glad for it, because I'm Two-Spirit Native American. My tribe is the Catawba tribe of North Carolina, pretty much, and Azteca from my father's side. So my mother and father met. They were both Native American, indigenous people on their own, but when they combined and, well, obviously had sex, this is the result. The genes for Native American in both of them activated. So that's how I look the way I do, and my sister looks Native American.
And now
That's just
I'm
how
gonna
things go.
I'm gonna take my hat off real quick. This is the example of what happens when Northern Europeans come together. Guys, this is all Finnish and Scandinavian and Swedish and Icelandic. That's all my heritage, all rolled into one. I am a true Caucasian. There is no black in my family, which actually kind of disappointed me a little bit, because I've always been raised that everybody in the South's got a little bit of a black person in the woodpile, but I don't. Now I have a half black nephew, and I have a black brother-in-law, and I actually love him to death. I'm teaching my brother-in-law how to hunt, which is hilarious because he can barely pull the trigger on a 22 without freaking out. But he's going to pull the trigger on a 12 gauge, and literally learning all these skills that I'm going to be teaching my nephew. I taught my niece already. She knows how to tan her own leather. She knows how to blacksmith. She knows how to fight. She knows how to take and grow a garden. She knows how to tend to the oak if she wishes to live under it, which is one of my biggest sayings that I use. If one wishes to live under the oak, one should learn to tend to it. Guys, and that simply means take care of yourself and your property, guys. Take care of nature around you, because you need it. You need it. It's not a I want, it's not a I like. It's no, you need nature. Where do you think our leather comes from? Where do you think our food comes from? It all came from nature. You need nature in order to live a happy life. You know, guys, staying stuck in a city where it's nothing but smog and concrete and sirens and riots. No, you got to get out of there every now and then. Go hike the Appalachian Trail. Go hike another trail. There's so many trails in California. Just go pick one. You know, there's so many trails here in Texas. I walk the Sundew Trail every year, you know, and I walk it in my armor. Why?
Because I definitely want to do that. The only issue is that LA has structured it so number one, you really need a car, and then two, they want you to be on the public transportation, but all public transportation does is lead you through downtown LA. No matter where you want to go, it always ends up that way. And downtown LA
is not a place to be.
It's a meth capital. It really is. It's where homeless junkies congregate. And that's the heart of this city. At least in New York, at least in other places, you know, you have that element, but that's on the sidewalk. It's not on your public transportation. People throw hypodermic needles around on these trains. And to what you're saying about, you know, being connected to nature, I was thinking that what exactly is a grocery? What exactly is a supermarket? Because you go to these places, you give them money because they give you the food a little bit faster. No, you need to actually go to these farms. Go to these farms and say, what was the name of the cow that I just bought beef from? Go to these farms and say, oh, you grow these onions? Show me the soil. What kind of soil do you use? Because we never ask any questions. It shows up in a supermarket. There's a big, it's 50% off, buy one, get three free. And we're just so caught up in money, so caught up in this idea that poverty means just focus on the food and not focus on the why and the how.
And you
There's
see,
a reason why you have farmers. You're supposed to be a farmer too. You're supposed to be able to say to these people, you know what? I can't afford your eggs. I can't afford your eggs. Your eggs are $18. I can't afford that. But you know what? Let me go to your hatchery and move those eggs from this little box over here to that box over there. Are you willing to pay me money for it? You don't have money to pay me? Great. Can I have 2 eggs? That is what America used to be. America used to be that because they didn't have the currency down pat. But now everyone thinks, well, you know, $2 is only worth this amount of eggs. What is 2 hours worth to a farmer? Everything.
A lot. Having been a cattle farmer with my grandfather growing up, 2 hours can mean the difference between life or death when it comes down to your cattle. And what I mean by that, guys, is anytime a cow goes to domino, which means when she goes to have a calf, anytime she goes to do that, it's a dangerous situation for that cow, especially if you artificially inseminated her with a larger bull. I have seen cows' hips shatter trying to give birth to a bigger calf, you know, guys, and 2 hours can mean the difference between life and death. So somebody was always out in the field watching those cows. Every single time. I was always out there on a four-wheeler with a 22 watching for coyotes or anything like that till I was old enough to carry a 243. And then, yeah, I was watching for coyotes. I was watching for cows about ready to domino. I was watching for bulls trying to get into a fight. You know, there was a lot of work that went into that. We were gone for 2 hours one day and came back, and 2 of our prize steers had killed each other in a fight. You know, so, yeah, 2 hours is a lot of shit that could be done. You know, farmers work from sun up to sundown, guys. You know, we don't stop. I take care of my garden all day. And yes, for that person that commented, I do all this walking, but that I can't work, that's because the state of Texas says I can't. Not because I don't want to. It's because the state of Texas says because of epilepsy and schizophrenia, I can't do it. Which I think is bullcrap, but I can't stop my legislators from doing what they do. I have to follow the law.
Introduce yourself to the channel again. You know, there's some new people here who don't know you.
Oh, okay.
Introduce yourself.
My name is Clinton Gage, aka Gator. That's my nickname. And I am Norse by descent. I don't claim to be a Viking. I claim to be Norse. I only say Viking because nobody knows what Norse is anymore. You know, and if they do know what Norse is, they only know what Hollywood has showed them. And that leads to people calling people fake. That leads to people calling people unpatriotic, all kinds of shit. But to be honest, guys, I do this because it makes me feel better about myself. It makes me feel like I'm honoring my ancestors. That's why I do what I do. And yes, I am pagan, but I'm a straight white male. I live in Southeast Texas. I'm a blacksmith, a leather worker, a wood carver, a hunter, a fisher. I'm a carpenter. You know, I do a bunch of stuff. And it's because I know that when the grid falls, I need to be prepared. So I have spent 38 years, not 38 yet. I have spent 30 years prepping myself by learning survival, by learning blacksmithing, by learning all these skills that I'm going to need, you know, and I want to pass them down on to the next generation. So that's why I have my YouTube channel, is to teach people how to not only think with some morale and think with a little bit of morals and try to increase their intelligence, knowledge, and wisdom on certain circumstances. You know, that's what my channel is about. My friend Ian here, his channel is about protests and about petitions and about trying to help America. You know, I'm trying to help the world, you know, guys. And it's because I believe the Allfather, Odin, has sent me here specifically to do that task, to try my best to help everyone I come across. And if I can make one person smile from having a bad day, then I've done my job right. And so my job is blacksmithing. That is what I do. I make knives. And so I'm not unemployed. I'm self-employed. So there's a difference there. But you won't find a lot of people that are willing to be self-employed because they don't want to put the work in. They want to hire somebody else to do it. I'm not that kind of guy, everybody. And no, I'm not secretly gay for Ian. He's just a really good friend of mine. I have a girlfriend. Her name is Jen Jen. She lives in North Carolina. You can find her at @JenHolder976. That's my girl. You know, she's an absolute sweetheart. And she'll always welcome you in. She does Christian videos, she does NASCAR videos, she does coloring videos, and she does country music videos. So go check her out, guys, @JenHolder976. You know, and as for me, you can find me at Clint Gage. You know, I'm pretty easy to locate. Here lately, hopefully tomorrow, I'll be able to do a forging video all day long where I'll be finishing out my sax knife. So yeah, that's me, guys. I'm a Viking pagan. I'm a schizophrenic epileptic. I play D&D and created my own game. I'm a writer. I have all kinds of stuff that I'm doing. Skyrim NPC.
I'm enjoying some of the comments. The comments are a little salty, but some of them are really, really funny. Talos sent him to be jobless and participate in dead streams. Look, if you came into this stream, you know what you're getting. You know, I cannot stress it enough. This guy's wearing armor. I'm wearing blue lipstick, my beautiful Maybelline Superstay matte ink lip with lipstick as a protest. And yeah, my channel is a bit of a protest channel because you talk about, you know, afraid of being anti-American. What exactly does it mean to be American? Does it mean to be American that you just eat whatever's in front of you because you're poor and you couldn't afford anything better? Does it mean that you accept someone abusing you and that you deprive yourself of sunlight, you deprive yourself of love, you let these people teach you that a cell phone, $1,000 cell phone, is more important than paying for college credit, more important than paying for food for yourself? These are the things that America is trying to teach you, and it's trying to teach your kids. Because if you have kids here, that's what they learn. They should be learning how to farm. They should be learning how to blacksmith. And not just because the world is ending, but because that means that you have one more thing that you can rely on yourself. how many times do you have to talk about something like social services, charity, the food stamps, and not realize that should be your first priority? Food, then shelter, but you have other priorities as well. And America never talks about, are you getting laid? Are you having an orgasm? How good is that orgasm? Like, where is America to talk about this? Because they don't talk about that on the news. But in my
No,
channel,
you
I talk about the fact that I bought myself a sex toy, and I'm very, very happy that I did. It made my knees shake. It made my eyes go cross-eyed. It was lovely. And that is what it
no,
means to be fucking free. That is the freedom of
no.
America. Live that truth instead of living the truth of being in an office all day and letting someone tell you what to do. It's like, I'll have my orgasm now.
Now, man, I'm laughing not at what you're saying, but that was funny. But I'm laughing because I remembered a story. You talking about having your toys out on display. Well, woo, this is a good one. I was in Ohio, right? And I was in Akron, Ohio, right there on a little street called Lakewood, and Lakewood Boulevard. And this old lady, 2 houses down from us, has somebody try to do a home invasion, right? She beats all of them out the door with a 3-foot floppy rubber dick. I ain't even joking. 3 guys run in there with guns, and she beat the shit out of them with a rubber dick and chased them out the door. Big old 3-foot double-sided thing. Massive. She had it like a baseball bat with just whop. That was one of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life, because they're out there on the front porch and they're doing this number right here, and she's just a bop, 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 bop. She's hitting all 3 of them as hard as she can until they run off her front porch. She's just cussing and screaming, turns around and goes, "Ruin my fun time." And I'm just sitting there going,
Ruining my fun time. That is the quote of the day.
I know, right? Oh my God, it was amazing. It was hilarious. I love the hell out of it. So guys, having sex toys lying around in the house is apparently a lethal weapon. You're getting penetrated in all the ways you don't want to.
You want to live your life. I talked about, Castro Street on the last stream, and I just said, that's who you are. If you are a person who's into dungeons with no dragons, just the dungeons, then that's
I
your
hate it.
truth. That's absolutely your truth. So why not let your freak flag fly? Let your freak flag fly.
Fly, not fry.
Well, I mean, in this heat, in this LA heat, I am sizzling. I am sizzling.
Oh, bro, I am literally sitting in an 88-degree room right now, wearing
I
all
can't
this
even
armor.
afford a shirt right now. I'm so hot in this LA heat. I have to get out of here. I really do, because I miss the South. The South was, just people who were, they want to call themselves Christian, but they will fuck and they will farm and they will drink and they're pagan. They're just pagan, but they're afraid to call themselves pagan.
Well, the word pagan originally came from pagan, which meant country folk. So a pagan was a country folk, and yes, most of them happened to worship the old gods because they weren't in the cities or in the kingdom where they had no choice but to follow Christianity. They moved way away from everybody so that they can go on ahead and keep practicing their family traditions. And my grandfather kept our family's Norse traditions alive through me. And I'm very honored to be able to hold the wisdom of Odin, to know the Havamal, to know the stories of Thor, to know the stories of Loki, to hear the teachings of Ragnarok. These are all different things that I have become obsessed with. So yes, I dress in Viking clothing. I wear Viking leather armor. I'm gonna be buying chainmail here soon to go with it. And it's just part of who I am, guys. I can't help it. I can't stop it. And when I did for 36 years, I was so miserable that my schizophrenia was uncontrollable. My seizures were happening 2-3 times a week. It was really difficult. When I started finally being myself and deciding, you know what, I'm a Renaissance man. I'm going to wear body armor. I'm going to wear chainmail. I'm going to wear my people's traditional clothing. You know, when I decided that, man, oh man, did I become a lot happier. I became a lot happier. Now, the farming, the hunting, the fishing, that was already part of my life. I'm a country boy. I was raised on 48 acres of property in the middle of nowhere. Our nearest neighbor was 5 miles away, you know, and I ran free through the woods. So that was where my obsession with tribal life came in, because I felt what they felt. I felt at one with nature. I can literally go out, dig out a hollowed out tree, and make myself a shelter. Not very many people can do that. And it's because they've lost that connection, that wildness that we all used to have in us. And that wildness kept us healthy. It kept us fit. It kept us from getting too heavy, you know, guys. And then we lose this dedication to occupations, like family occupations, guys. They don't have that dedication anymore. They just want to run away. They want to do their own thing. They want to be put on disability. They want to work YouTube. You know, guys, I'm doing this because I have to until I can find something better. You know what I mean? That's what you should be doing. You should be looking at a way to better yourself every single day. You know, it's like my little catchphrase that I've got going on for my channel is, love your mama, love your papa, love yourself, be kind, and always find a way to help. And the only reason why love yourself is in there and not love your family is because if you love yourself, you're gonna love your family. If you love yourself, you're going to be able to get along with everybody. You know, guys, I'm very comfortable with the fact that I'm a straight male. I know who I am. That's why I have no problem hanging out with my dear friend right here. You know, and he is a good friend. He has been a great friend to me since the day I stumbled upon his channel and saw a veteran in tears that needed some comfort. And that's all I did. Guys, I've done stuff like that for many, 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 many people. You know, and having schizophrenia is horrifying. To tell you the truth, it's probably the scariest thing I've ever done, because I can't fight what I'm seeing, not physically. I have to fight it mentally, which is why I wear a Green Lantern ring, to remind me to use my willpower every single day to conquer great fear. You know, so schizophrenia is one of the hardest things to do, because first off, I have auditorial and visual hallucinations. I don't just hear voices. I see them too. And these things speak like hell. When they open their mouth, it's nothing but suffering and pain. And it sounds like thousands of people speaking at once. And then you've got to deal with the 87 different people that are in my head that try to take over my personality. If it wasn't for me taking my medications, then I wouldn't be able to control them, guys. And so schizophrenia is a really, really, really hard thing to deal with. And we don't bring enough attention to men's mental health rights. We don't bring enough attention to men's mental health. You know, guys, we're so worried about women and making sure that they're no longer going to be these crazy Karens or anything like that. But we don't give a crap about the guy sitting in the corner bawling his eyes out, ready to shoot himself in the head. And trust me, I've been that guy. I've attempted it many times. And it's because I can't control it when my schizophrenia kicks in. And it's a scary, scary thing, knowing that your own mind is your worst enemy, because you can't run away from it and you can't beat it. You can only control it. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You know, I'm glad that you can educate people on your perspective on it. And I've held it in, I've held it in, I've held it in. Schizophrenia and mental illness in general is really, no other way to say it, white nonsense. Just Freud and all of these psychoanalysts from the 1800s who are like, "You're hysterical, woman. Woman, stop being so hysterical." And they would slap the woman across the face. Because
Or they
women,
would forcibly masturbate her.
exactly, they're like, "Get the fucking dildo," and they would, they would go to town on this girl. And it's been centuries since that. And we haven't learned the lesson. Like, look a little closer. All that hysteria, all of that was, you literally locked a person in a tower. They weren't allowed to talk to any guys. They weren't allowed to be near another guy. They weren't allowed to speak their mind. And you tortured these women. And that's what happens to us. You're tortured,
Yeah.
whether you want to admit that you're being tortured or not. When your employer has to dangle a check in front of you and say, "See this? See this? This is how you pay for food. This is how you pay for your apartment. Let me dangle this check in front of you. Can I make you work Saturday and Sunday? You don't want to work Saturday and Sunday? Here, look at this check. Look at this check." That is torture. That is absolute torture. And when you talk about your schizophrenia, I say to myself, that isn't the full story. That isn't the full story. You didn't have somebody in your corner who says, "I need you to go fucking run in the fucking woods. You see that root? Jump over that root. You see that tree stump? Go around it, swerve around it. Do a 360 as you look to see if there's a wolf trying to capture you and bite you with its teeth." That's supposed to be your life. You're supposed to be out there. You're not supposed to be sitting down on YouTube. And I'm glad that you are, but this is not who you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be out hunting, out in the world. Those voices are trying to take over your body. Those are actual ancestral spirits. I'm a Native American. Screw this American white noise that's been polluting your brain there. You need to be able to say, some of that is your body just saying, "What the fuck is going on? I don't belong here.
I think it is.
I think there's another way of living. I think that, yeah, you talk about your pagan, you talk about, fuck, get kinky in the fucking bedroom. That's who you fucking are. You're not the type of person to just play nice to appease other people. That's not who you are as a person. Now,
No.
you talk about your medication, and for you that's fine. But what about just being true to yourself? What about being that person when you swing an axe? How much are you really fucking schizophrenic when you're swinging that axe? Be honest.
Literally tunnel vision.
Thank you. That's who you are. And your doctor has done you a disservice by saying, shove a pill down your throat instead of admitting that you'd rather swing an axe than watch the Beverly Hills Shahs of Hollywood. You're not going to watch the Kardashians. You want to swing a fucking axe. That's who you are, man. I believe in you.
And you see, when it comes down to the visions that I see, this is one of the worst ones I see. This is called the heartbroken. And they're literally physical representations of the pain that I've gone through and the things that I have to suffer through. So these are the things that I see. And you're right. They could be spiritual beings trying to contact me. They could be the manifestations of what I see as just a human being, the pain that I've witnessed in this world. They could be a manifestation of you don't know what's going on. And that's why I am, trying to get rid of this stigma about, schizophrenia. There are schizophrenics that cannot control themselves, that do need to be locked up. There are people who are mentally unstable to the point where they're a danger to themselves and society. And I do agree with what you say. It might be a white man's construction, this mental illness. But at the same time, I can say, as somebody who has schizophrenia, there is something going on here. What it is, I don't know. But there is something going on in my mind. And it is really hard to keep in check. But that doesn't mean I can't. That doesn't mean I am limited. It literally means that, hello, Jelly Moss. It literally means that I am trying my best to become a better person. I'm trying my best to show the world that you don't have to be what they tell you you are. You can be who you want to be. Because when you be who they tell you you are, you're miserable. When you are who you really are, I mean, look deep down inside yourselves. Find out who you truly are, because that's the first step to healing. And once you finally start to heal, guys, the whole world becomes a opportunity. You just got to look for it.
It must be the Native American, First Nation, Indigenous person in me that hears what you say and then just screams in agony because of all of the Native American people who would do things like talk to the river, ask the river, where's the fish? Ask the river, where is there a safe place for me to drink from? Where is that? Ask the river that. Ask the tree, ask the wind where the deer are. Ask the trees, you know, may I borrow the wood from you in order to carve my fletching for my arrows? You know, there was
This
a
right here.
respect there. There was a respect there. And for some reason, you know, they let Christians and Christianity overwrite their base source code. So now you have this Latino culture that doesn't know that you were divinely gifted to speak to the universe. And right now, you're just saying, nah, if you're a priest, then you're allowed to speak to God. And God is, what do you think that is? What do you think that is when you have Christians say, I pray to God, or a priest say, I speak for God at this time? Because you're talking about schizophrenia as hearing voices. Okay, so only a white man who has robes and is pretty much wearing a dress, Christians wear dresses. That is the only person who can speak to God. That's the only person who can experience divinity. No,
No.
absolutely. Now, I agree with you about, the severe cases, but even the severe cases, you never had a native. I wanted to be a doctor. This goddamn fucking nation owed me my fucking medical education because I wanted to be a Native American doctor. I wanted to be a First Nation, Indigenous person working in a hospital so I can sit down with some of these people and say, yeah, you know what? I know you hear voices. I know that you deal with this. Have you tried maybe banging a drum? Have you tried maybe dancing,
Meditation.
meditating, yodeling, going, oh, just, whatever. Just whatever that is to you. Because sometimes that's who you are. And that's what you have been missing. Because people say, can I sell you this gun? Fine, they sell you the gun. Can I sell you this house? They sell you a house. It's not the same thing as being with your friends, sitting at a campfire, eating good food, laughing, enjoying yourself. You're not really enjoying yourself when you sit on the couch and you watch something like Outlander and you think, that's a really good, beautiful show, but that's what your life is. Your life is watching someone else's life.
Yeah,
Instead of
and
what
I
you want to
agree
do.
with you. I 100% agree with you, brother. Now, one thing I can say is this. I want to try to help people, but nobody in this country wants to donate. Nobody wants to believe that I'm going to send that money to somebody else, that I'm not going to use it. Guys, I had that $15 for 4 months before somebody stole it all, and it took somebody hacking that profile for that money to disappear. I had to change my entire Cash App, and it really disappoints me that, America is not more open to doctors at the moment. We have a whole generation that don't want to be anything but fast food workers, that don't want to be anything but the bare minimum. We're not going to have doctors after a little while. We're not going to have anything but the older generation like me and you trying to take care of everything. And we're going to be old when that happens. We're going to be old, and that's awful. Now, as far as those down there who think that we're neighbors and everything like that, and think that, you know, we're together or anything, no, we're not. I'm a straight white man. I live in Southeast Texas. He lives in LA, California. And yes, he is trans, you know, but I'm friends with him because I enjoy his perspective. It gives me an insight that I didn't have before. It gives me an understanding of a culture that is quickly rising in our country. And instead of fighting it, I am kind of embracing it, but at the same time, I'm trying to call them out on bullshit, you know. And it's just the same thing I do to straight folks, you know, same thing I do to conservatives. I will call them out on bullshit, you know, and that's just because I speak only truth. I honestly do. If you guys don't believe me, look me up. I have done nothing wrong. I've been accused of being a predator, all kinds of stuff, just simply for the way I look, you know. And guys, the only predator I am is to a hog or an alligator, you know. And, you know, there are only two genders. I do believe that. And I believe even Ian thinks that there are only two, you know, but it depends on the ideology and the feeling of the person. Do they feel like they have a male and female inside them? Do they feel female even though they're male? You know, guys, these are not new circumstances. You know what they used to be called? Eunuchs. You know what they used to be called? Spinsters. You know, that was the difference. These people have always been around, and we've never accepted them because of Christianity, you know. And I'm going to blame Christianity for that. If that's an unpopular opinion, kiss my ass. I'm a pagan, you know.
Kiss my juicy one ass.
I wish it was juicy. I have a Hank Hill butt. There ain't nothing there. It's a pancake. It's a pancake.
There are some comments on here that I have to address. Okay, first of all, this is why not everyone should be able to cast votes. You know what? If you don't want my vote, guess what? I'm going to give you my opinion. You cannot stop me, and you cannot stop Clint from voicing an opinion. This is America, okay? There are several things that this country does wrong, but there's the one thing that it does right. But if you disagree, you have the right to say it. You have the right to say it loudly. As long as you're not inciting violence or, you know, doing something completely deplorable. But if you're talking about something like my blue lipstick, my Maybelline Superstay matte ink liquid lipstick is there to protest carbon monoxide poisoning of young children because of smog, because of cars, because of industry. Look at what Clint has been saying about there are 4 factories like in almost every single direction. You're gassing people. This is why kids need to learn in school. Because you learn about the Nazis, you learn about gas chambers, but you don't think you live in one because you say, I'm not Jewish. That happened to Jewish people in the 1940s. That doesn't happen now. You're poor. You're poor and you're a minority. It doesn't matter if you're black and poor. It doesn't matter if you're Latino and poor or you're white and poor. America doesn't like any of you. America has decided to gas the fuck out of you. And they don't care. And those people in Hollywood, all those rich celebrities, they live in mansions with nobody around. They live on top of the mountain as the rest of the people under the mountain are choking to death.
Now, I will admit, there's a few celebrities that aren't like that. And I really like these celebrities for that fact. One of which is surprising to most people. Marilyn Manson. When he bought his mansion, he bought his parents the one directly next door. His father was his tormentor. That's why his music and his actions are the way they are. He was tortured by his own father for Christianity. But you know what he did? He did the godly thing and turned around and bought his parents a mansion and takes care of them every day. I found this stuff out on the Sharon Osbourne show back whenever I used to watch it because, I mean, hell, it was Sharon Osbourne, you know, and she had him on there several times. Marilyn Manson is a well-spoken, well-dressed when he's not in concert, and very highly educated young man. Very well-spoken. Then you've got Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves gives majority of what he earns to charity. Guys, he doesn't even really, he has a mansion, but he doesn't live in it. You know what he does? He rents it out to people who need to be able to get their own home. He rents it out. It's a boarding house, guys. And, that is one of the things that makes me really impressed with Keanu Reeves. Sir Anthony Hopkins, he donates half of everything he makes, and he makes a lot of money, But there are certain celebrities out there that are trying to help the poor. They're trying to help us in poverty level. And yes, guys, I'm poverty level. I live off of $374 a month, which actually this month I'm going to live off of $74 a month, and that's it. For the next 2 months, I'm not going to have anything because I'm repairing an RV that I just bought. Because I'm trying to get my own property. I'm trying to become independent, and it's not easy whenever you can't get a loan, whenever the state says you can't work. Guys, it's not easy to live the life that some of us live. And one of the biggest problems I've seen is this stigma that revolves around everybody in America. There's a stigma that revolves around white folks. There's a stigma that revolves around black folks. There's a stigma that revolves around gays. There's a stigma that revolves around everybody. And guys, we're all deciding to believe this damn stigma instead of looking into the situation for ourselves and having conversations with these people so we can understand them, so we know our brothers, so we know our sisters, so we know our fellow human beings. There's nothing wrong with sitting back and having a good, healthy debate with somebody. There's nothing wrong with sitting back and listening to another perspective. Guys, there's several things you can do in your life, but one thing that you cannot go through life and do, and I've seen this happen, is hate. Because when you spend your entire life living on nothing but hate, guys, you bring nothing but hate upon yourself. Negativity is drawn to negativity like a magnet, but so is positivity. So guys, I try to be as positive as possible. I try to be as nice to everybody as I can. Now, you give me a reason not to be, and you're going to see a different side of me. I'm going to let my crazy come out, and I'm going to let the demons deal with you, because I'm just like, you're not worth my time, and but now, when it comes down to situations where people are just like, well, they're all bad, I simply look at them and go, why? How? How many do you know? How many have you spoken to? And literally, guys, 9 out of 10 times, the answer is 0. And because they don't know these people, they don't know the majority of the population, then they get angry. And I'm about to do something that's going to piss everybody here in America off. To all of my Muslim friends out there, assalamu alaikum. I'm sorry for any inconvenience Christianity has caused you. Thank God I'm a pagan, because at least my people got along with the people in the Middle East. So I have no issues with Muslims. I have no issues with Islamics. I have no issues with Jewish folks. I stand on my side. I stand on the side of right. And what I see is going on in the world right now, especially in the Middle East, every bit of it's wrong. It doesn't matter which side you're on. Every bit of it's wrong. Because it's all fighting over religious nonsense. It's all fighting over resource nonsense. It could all be shared. It could all be understood. We could all literally sit back. And guys, if you've ever even read the Quran actually even sits there and says that Muhammad had a covenant with Jesus Christ, and that he gave Jesus the Torah and the Tanakh to be able to guard for Christians. There was a literal pact made between him and Jesus Christ. If you don't think I don't know Jesus, you're wrong. I know more about the Bible than most of you do. And I'm going to say that with pure confidence. Why? Because most of you only listen to the King James Version, which is the most altered version in the entire world. The closest you're going to get to a real Bible is the Ethiopian Bible. Guys, Christianity has lost every last bit of touch with reality. And I will be the first one to admit that. Because us pagans understand that we need to take care of the planet and each other first, and then worry about who has enough resources and everything like that. We don't need to be going to war. We can easily make diplomatic solutions. Guys, this is the 21st fucking century. We are in 2025. Why are we even having wars? Why are we even having problems like this? Why? Because it's a bunch of old wasply motherfuckers sitting around that have outdated ideas, outdated understanding, and have hate in their hearts. So that's why I don't support anyone but myself. You know, I support, to a degree, I support everybody. But at the same time, I disagree with everyone. You know, and this is an understanding I came to. And this is something that I will always believe in my heart. And the person that you should always worry about the most is those that you love, those that are kind to you, and yourself. You know, and when I mean by those that you love, I'm including family into that too, and dear friends. You know, but the number one thing is that if you stuck to yourself and you kept your damn mouth shut and learned how to not be a damn fool, then the world would be a better place. Because the fool does not know when to hold his tongue. The worldly man sits among kings. So just think about that. Mull it over.
I pity the fool.
I was waiting for somebody to say that, to be honest.
I'm going through some of these comments. Nah, bro, McDonald's has rat meat in it. Ian and Cliff said that. Okay, I didn't say that, but Cliff does have a point. The FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, doesn't really have the customer's best interests at heart.
No.
They say that there are certain acceptable limits to things. Like there's acceptable limits to fly eggs in ketchup. There's acceptable limits to rats being in the meat. There's acceptable limits of that. But the FDA says, well, you know, if 2 out of 10,000, you know, beef patties have rat in it, we're going to be okay with that. We're not going to find the business. We're not going to shut down the business. We're not going to do any of that. And that's the country you live in. You want to talk about some whack shit. You want to talk about, you know, this gay, you know, nonsense, and you know, you should shut the fuck up because, you know, it offends you. What reality are you living in? I'm living in the reality of if you don't ask questions of your food, then your doctor will ask questions of your illness.
And I know, guys, I'm a smoker.
Why aren't we curious about where does our food come from? Why aren't we curious about what's going on in the world? People love to talk shit about transgender people and gay people. No one ever says, yeah, but why? Where does your homosexuality come from? Where does your transgender come from? Because there are some people who are living their truth, and then there are some people who've been chemically forced into a situation. And transgender people will never say that. I'm a transgender person. I say that. I say that, yeah, you have more transgender people in America than you do in Eastern Europe. For what reason? It's not because, you know, wearing a dress is, you know, less cool there. It's the food itself causes you to be transgender. The food itself is causing people to change physically. When you eat the amount of crap these fast food restaurants are shoving towards you in the interest of saving dollars, you're really doing something to your body. You really should be speaking to your doctor about it and not just listening to someone on YouTube. Do your own research, but a doctor will tell you the same exact thing. The doctor will say, hey, It's not just that the food makes you fat. The food turns you into a little bitch. The food will give you tits. The food will make your ass big.
Now, I'm going to answer a question real quick for somebody because it won't take long. To our backlog entertainment, I don't play Dungeons and Dragons. I play my own game that I created called the Realms of Extier. And in that game, I play everything. I can play anything. I've even got gay characters in there. I've got straight characters in there. I've got every character you can think of. Black, white, purple, literally purple. So, yeah, that's one of the things about me. I took drama as a kid. I did acting classes as a child. And one of the things that I enjoyed about that was transferring it over to Dungeons and Dragons, and then taking Dungeons and Dragons and turning that and using that basics for my own game that I created. And no, I don't use the same die system. I don't use the same creatures or anything like that. I use cryptids from real world. I use real world legends, and I don't create my own, except for certain specific beings that I create my own race of. And I just put my own spin on the legends, is what I do. So I've played everything from a little girl all the way up to a giant ass man that wielded a literal lightning bolt as a weapon, and these are all things that, I do believe to,
Okay,
guys,
I want you to talk about the Kevin talk about the Smurfs. Who do you think the Smurfs are in real life? These little blue creatures. Who do you think they are? Because I think that they're the American poor people. I think it's impoverished people. Why? Because they are being gassed. They run around like little scavengers trying to pick up a little cent here, a little cent there, and that's what their life is. They're Smurfs. You're the Smurfs. You want to talk about Smurfs? You're the Smurf. Because you walk outside every day and you let car exhaust go blast in your face, ruining your lungs, and slowly but surely give you cancer.
Now, as far as like them saying, oh, it's been 10 minutes, it's time for me to say I'm straight again. All right, look, guys, I'm only saying that because we have so many new people coming in. That's the only reason why I'm saying it. Guys, I don't care if you think I'm gay or not. I know who I am. And like I said before, if you want to make up your own opinion, that's the great part about America. You can make your own opinion. But it's not going to offend me. It's not going to piss me off. I know who I am, and I enjoy who I am. And if you don't like me, don't watch me. It's that easy.
Clint, there's nothing wrong with saying that these people have an issue with the camaraderie because they don't get to see true male friendship. They get to see men fighting it on the Fox News, fighting on CNN, yelling over each other all the time. They don't get to see, hey, how are you, man? Yeah, I know. I saw you crying. I saw you crying, and I reached out for help. That's what a real man is.
It's getting hot.
Realest man. Clint is the realest man that I've experienced in this world. So
thank you.
Say it with pride. You don't have to follow these weird stereotypes. There is nothing wrong with having a male best friend. Your male is supposed to be your best friend. You're supposed to drink with your buddies and go fuck your wife. Go enjoy fucking your wife, but don't give her your money and don't give her your heart unless you really want that heart to be hers.
Broke.
But yeah, that used to be the way of tribes. You used to have a men's lodge. You used to go fuck your wife who took care of your kids, and then there was a men's lodge where the men would be together. They wouldn't have sex with each other. They wouldn't. Some would, but not all of them. The Spartans, the Athenians, the Romans, they all had homosexuality wasn't a thing because they understood if you're going to war, you want to love your brother and you want your brother to love you. So sometimes it was you have sex with each other. Sometimes you saw that person as a family member and you did blood rituals in order to bind each other. And other times it was, you know what? I want you to fuck my wife. I want you to fuck my wife because if my wife doesn't see me come back from battle, I want her to look to you. I want her to look to you as the next person because I don't want some stranger raising my kids. I want, if I
Exactly.
don't come back, you to be that person. That is what it means to be a man. That's what it means to be a real man. And you let America deprive you of your best friend. You let America tell you that you should go chase pussy instead of chasing a trustworthy friend who will be there no matter what. You can call up your best friend at 3 a.m. and say, I've got to move a couch, or, my heart's just been broken. I need you to come over, drive over, and cheer me up. Tell me a funny joke. And
Yeah.
that's your best friend's job. So no, 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 no. I'm going to tell you, Clint, free yourself. Free yourself from this nonsense. And you know what? Let them fucking call you gay because gay means happy. Let them call you gay because you have a best friend in the world.
Yeah.
Like,
And you
let them
see,
understand that because they're jealous, because they wish that they had the ability to have a friend that they can talk to. Not someone like we're not going to have sex, but we're going to be able to talk to each other. You're going to be able to date who you want, marry who you want, but you're still going to be able to come to someone like me and just say, hey, I want to talk to you about this. I had a good day. I want to talk to you about it. I had a bad day. Talk to me about it. That's what it means to be a real man. You reach out to your fellow man. You help your fellow man. You cheer up your fellow man. You take care of each other.
yep.
Homosexuality is so much more than dick and ass. And all you people want to talk about is dick and ass. And that's not what's here. What's here is a friendship where we can talk to each other like grown adults and carry each other through this world, which is so difficult.
I said the Ethiopian Bible was the most accurate version of the Bible. To answer your question there, Pearl, or Paul, excuse me. And as far as camaraderie goes, yeah, not very many people see this anymore. Nobody really sees a guy sit down and be like, "Hey man, what's up? Oh, nothing much. Didn't get laid today. Oh, what, the chick's not giving you any good? And nah, man, I can't get a dude tonight. Oh, okay. Well, man, hey, I know this guy that's gay. Maybe we can get you guys together. You know, that's camaraderie. That is compassion for each other. That is kindness. That is caring. That is what this world is lacking. That is what this world needs. It needs people that are kind. It needs people that are caring. But it also needs people that when it's time to stand up and fight, they grab the axe or they grab the gun and they say, let's go, buddy. That's what we need. We need people that are willing to stand up for what they believe is right and fight for it. Because right now, what I see is a bunch of people that want to do a lot of this and none of this. Write your senator. Write your government. Tell the gooberment how stupid they're being. And yes, I said gooberment because they are absolutely goobers. I have seen more intelligence than a peanut, and these guys are being one of the worst racist people I've ever met. And I live in Southeast Texas. All right? There's KKK and Aryan Brotherhood around here. And you know what they spend their doing? Fighting each other. It's retarded. And I think every last one of them is retarded anyway because there's no reason to hate on anybody. Why are you going to follow somebody like fucking Hitler? Oh my God. That was one of the most insane meth heads the world has ever seen. And yet there's people that idolize him. And I think that is the dumbest shit this planet has ever seen. You know who I idolize? I idolize people like Alexander the Great, like George Washington, like Jules Verne. Who's another good one? Sir Roy Chapman Andrews, you know, Sir Waterhouse Hawkins. These are all scientists. These are all man of the world. These are all people who went out, they explored, they had thoughts, they had vision, and they followed through with it. Those are the people I admire. You know, and we don't have those people anymore. No, sorry, Kevin, not going to do that. I like my armor.
You look good in your armor, and that's who you are. I keep trying to shake you out of this, Clint. I'm trying. You want to write to your senator, and I'm trying to tell you that is not the way. The way, Operation Rescue. We need to start rescuing veterans and telling them that America is going septic. It is going wrong. It's off.
It's rotting. It's not septic.
Rotting. It's rotting. It's an old machine, and none of the stuff is working anymore. The Department of Education isn't working anymore. The Department of Transportation has fallen apart. I'm trying to do change.org/clearly-smog to fix some of the potholes here so you don't damage your car, which creates more pollution. But nobody wants to listen to that. And the only thing I can say is, well, maybe I'm not supposed to just save America. Maybe I'm supposed to save its people. Maybe the best thing that I can tell a fellow veteran is go get your land.
Yeah.
Go get your land. You know, you want to chase after cell phones, you want to chase after video games, you want to chase after movies. Enjoy living on your own land. And guess what? On your own land, you can have a 200-inch screen. On your own land, you can have a farm and be able to say, I know what soil that was used to grow these vegetables because I bought it, because I made the soil. Have an investment in your own ecosystem. Raise the deer, raise the squirrels, raise a forest, tend to the forest. That's the kind of life that you're missing, because deep inside, that's who we all are. But we keep being seduced by this and seduced by this republic attitude. And it's no. That's always been wrong. It's always been wrong to tell someone else, go represent my interests somewhere else. It's no, I should be there. I should be there. Not this person, because this person doesn't just represent me. It represents a lot of people, and sometimes just the people who paid that person money. So you want to talk to a senator, and I'm telling you, talk to your damn self. Talk to your damn self and say, the only thing I need to worry about is getting myself my own place. Because if I have my own place, fuck it. I've got chickens. I've got my own cows. I trade. I tell people, you know what? If you step foot on my land and I invited you, guess what? You're going to work. You're going to work.
Yeah.
And you're going to fucking move the chicken eggs from this little box over here to this little box over there. And you're going to take them and you're going to sell them in the market. You're going to put the whole town to work. And you're going to tell that town that you live near that, hey, I'm the new chicken egg person. Okay, and I'm going to give it to you super, super cheap, cheaper than the supermarket. Why? Because I do not want to just mess around with those chickens all the day. I have shit to do. I got a live stream to do. I'm going to be in the forge. And guess what? Now you're going to work for me. That's the kind of life you want. Because we forget that we are royalty. We just let people tell you that you're not royalty. You're just an employee. You have an employee number, a social security number. You are owned by the government. You are owned. And it's just, no, that's not who you are. That's who they tell you are. And I think deep down, you know that's true. You know that's true, which is why you need to focus on getting your own land. Your land might be like $1,000. $1,000 to own a piece of land.
Actually, it's $7,000 an acre right now.
For some places, I've done my research.
Yeah, it could be $1,000.
Places for $1,000, and you get half an acre, 1 acre. I mean, in decent states, but they're
Oh
all
yeah.
decent. Eh, People in America forget that there are whole empty states. There are states where nobody is, because all you see is, well, Los Angeles is crowded, well, New York is crowded. Of course, it's crowded. Everybody wants to be close to whatever that is until you don't. When you don't, you see, fuck it. There are 50 states and territories.
Yeah.
America is it's larger than you think. America is super large. The only issue is, you keep pretending like you're a celebrity. You keep pretending like, you live as a rich man when really all of you should be on food stamps because none of you can afford food. So if you're honest about that, maybe you might see it as I don't have to live in a city. I hate crime. I hate people bursting into your door and holding you up and threatening you and stuff like that. I hate home invasions. Guess what? Maybe you shouldn't live in that area. Maybe you should live on your own land where you can say, if I didn't invite you and you stepped on my fucking land, I fucking shoot you. Because you
Yep.
trespass. Because in certain states, that's a law. That's a law that if you
It's a law
trespass on
here.
someone's land and they put up signs and clearly defined, if you see this sign and then in 20, 30 feet, you saw another sign, if you step onto this property, you get shot. And you know what? That's how you should be running your life because your house is your fucking castle. You're a fucking lord. You want to, talk to yourself about, I have mental illness. No, you're a fucking lord. Bow down to your fucking self. Bow down to your fucking self and learn to worship at your own altar.
Which the funny thing is, my dad asked me the other day, because he's Christian. He asked me the other day, son, if you're pagan, where do you even practice at? I said, Dad, my temple's the forge. My temple is me going out there on my training grounds that I've made out here. I made a training circle for myself. If I leave that circle, I'm dead. So I've literally sat there and done everything I could to show him what my temple is. My temple is outside. It's outside in nature. That's why my forge is outside. That's why it's open air. That's why I train with my axe, each day, regardless of how hot it is, unless I physically just am wore out, because like the other day I did like 4 hours worth of blacksmithing. I was fucking tired. So I didn't train, but I didn't have to. I burnt more calories in the forge than I would have if I was just training, so, that's always, a wonderful feeling when I'm done. I come in here, I sit down, I'm hot, I'm sweaty, I'm wore out, I'm tired, but at the same time, I'm sitting back going, that was productive. I feel better. I don't feel like I'm disabled. I feel better,
You had
and
me at Clint is hot and sweaty.
yeah, I am a little bit. It's became 89 degrees in here, and I'm wearing thick black leather. So yeah, I'm a little hot, but it's
But
okay.
doesn't it feel good to sweat? Doesn't it feel good to sweat and not have someone yell at you?
Oh yeah, that's the main thing I'm getting at. Is you're sitting there working your tails, working your tail to the bone, trying to get a job done. You got this guy screaming down your throat, who's got this guy screaming down his throat, who's got this customer screaming down his throat, and you've got to meet this deadline, and it makes work miserable. It really does. But if you're working a job that you love and a career that you actually see yourself doing the rest of your life, it doesn't matter if he's yelling at you. You're going, it don't matter. I'm going to take this out on the forge. Oh, look, there's his face. Whack. You know, you take it out on the forge. You take it out on the steel. And I have seen so many people who have started doing the same things I do that come into my channel. They've started growing their own food. They've started trying to learn blacksmithing, and they're talking about how it's enriched their life. One guy said all he could think about was suicide until he started talking to me. And then he bought his own forge, he bought his own anvil, he bought a hammer, bought a few tongs, and he got to work. And he loves it. He loves it. It's his new reason for living. And guys, it's my reason for living. You know, a lot of people want to complain about this. They want to whine about that. I don't whine. I don't complain. I get shit done. That's who I am. That's what I do. I get shit done. And when I sit back and I hear some of these modern people, and I say modern people because some of them I think are barely human, but they want to sit there and tell you, no, you can't be a backyard farmer. No, you can't have chickens. One of my friends, no, you can't forage in your backyard anymore because the homeowners association says it's bad. Fuck a homeowners association. If you bought your house and you bought your land, it is yours, not anyone else's to tell you what to do with. I've seen people get kicked out of neighborhoods because they had a different color roof. That was it. Instead of having brown, they had green. So the whole homeowners association got together and told them, redo your roof or move out. So the guy literally abandoned the house, trashed it and abandoned it and said, okay, sell it now. Broke every window out of it and everything like that. Because the homeowners association threw him out because he wouldn't change his roof to brown. You know, and this is a very unfortunate situation that is rearing its ugly head in America a lot. We're looking at, it's like my dad says, there's constantly apartments going up. There's constantly trailer parks going up, but they're not making any more land. So maybe it's time to find my own pot and never leave it. Never leave it. But I'll tell you right now, I live in an RV. If the city starts encroaching upon my territory, I'm out. I'm out. I'm running. I'm not walking, I'm running.
You absolutely deserve to be happy. You deserve to have the level of freedom that you've always wanted. I'm hearing what you're saying, and I agree. I agree 100%. I just wish other people felt that way. I wish people understood that slavery is a real thing. Human slavery. You talk about, taking it out on a forge when, you're working a job or something like that. I remember when I was working for FedEx, like right after, my PTSD was like really
FedEx.
up and everything. And you know what they used to do? They used to put on like popular music, a whole whistle while you work thing.
Yeah.
And we used to do this thing called smart delivery, where instead of the giant packages, that's what most of us were doing. We're doing the giant packages. Like someone orders a barn door, we're the one who puts the barn door on the truck. But every once in a while, they would do something called smart delivery, and they would have us with the music playing and everything. It's like it's the club. No, it's a job.
It's a job.
I'm there on the conveyor belt line, trying to work, trying to fight through my PTSD, and they would send these packages down this chute, and it was the slide and everything. But they just kept sending them and sending them and sending them, and then they would spill over the conveyor belt, and they would start to litter the floor, and all of my fellow coworkers were being buried underneath it. We couldn't move, and the managers were just like,
yeah, laughing their butt off.
You're being paid a little bit above minimum wage, and they're just laughing at you. And then sometimes FedEx would send something like a tire down the conveyor belt, and then it would go down like it was a roller coaster. It would go down the conveyor belt, and then the tire would just hit someone. And once again, it was ha 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 ha. They were just laughing at you the whole entire time. Because yeah, you can claim, that you were injured on the job, but you're still gonna come back because they're gonna wave that little check in front of you and say, this is how you get food, this is how you afford rent, and your little video games or your movies or, even fucking your wife, all of that comes from you being tortured. And
Oh
that's the
yeah.
America that we live in. We live in a place where nobody wants to stand up for themselves. Nobody wants to say, you know what? I'm an American citizen. Don't torture me. I'm an American
Yeah.
citizen. Treat me with respect. Give me the money that I deserve and give me the health I deserve. Because when you use that money, that meager check after being tortured from Monday to Friday and sometimes from Monday to Monday, you go out and you spend it, but you have to pay your rent. And once the rent is paid, you have so little left. You go to a fast food restaurant and you say, can you give me anything to eat? I haven't eaten in days because I've been at this job. And you know what they give you? Some grayish mush that you have to suspend disbelief and say, it's still food. It is not food. Wake
No,
up,
it's not.
America. That is not food. You know what food is? The food is in the country with someone giving you grits, giving you mashed potatoes, giving you steak. They're living a
Giving you
real life.
pork.
All these people living in the city and saying, it's so convenient. I go to all these fast food restaurants, I go to Starbucks, and they hand you this thing. That isn't food. You need to actually eat food. That's why your body is wasting away. That's why you have cancers. That's why you're miserable. That's why you're depressed. People are
Oh yeah.
depressed because they don't eat food. They don't know what real food is.
And you see, I love how you brought that up, because have you seen the experiment with the McDonald's cheeseburger? They took a McDonald's cheeseburger and fries, and they put it up underneath a glass container. Then they took a regular homemade hamburger and homemade French fries and put it in another container identical to the first, right beside each other, to see which one rotted faster. Do you know what happened in the McDonald's food? It mummified. It didn't rot at all. No fuzz on the bun, even. Everything's just hardened. Now, the regular home cooked hamburger, by the next morning, it was all live and living in the fridge, But that McDonald's hamburger, you could practically take that daggum patty off, sharpen it, and use it for a frickin' pizza cutter. It's retarded. We put that in our bodies? That shit turned to plastic. Oh my God, no. When I saw Super Size Me, that McDonald's thing, and I realized that it took him 7 years to recover from 30 days. 7 years, guys. That is ridiculous. He suffered liver damage. He suffered kidney damage. He suffered from depression. He suffered from, borderline personality disorder. He started getting bipolar. He started having some serious problems that he still has to this day from Super Size Me. Guys,
that guy actually passed away.
He died? I didn't know that.
Yeah, he did. And, America doesn't, when you talk about heroes, when you talk about, people who make a difference in the world, that is someone who I say, yeah, I want Morgan Spurlock Day. I want Morgan Spurlock Day so that kids take a day off and they realize, hey, there's a reason why we have art. There's a reason why we have entertainment. There's a reason why we have actors and directors. It's because sometimes the truth has no other way to reach you than within film.
Yeah.
And this man took his life to try and save the rest of us and say, wake up, people. That isn't food. It might push you to the next day, but it is pushing you towards your grave. It is not real
quick.
food.
Real quick. And you see, that's why if we go out to eat, me and my dad, my stepmom, if we go out to eat, we go to somewhere like Texas Roadhouse, Longhorn Steakhouse. We go to something like that if we go out to eat, which is very rarely. We most of the time cook here. But we go somewhere where it's actual food, We don't go somewhere where it's preserved and it's chocked full of, hormones and all that stuff. We go somewhere where the food is real. The only time we don't is when we go to a Chinese restaurant every now and then, because I got to face it, I love my Lao Mein. But, I love my Lao Mein, I love my honey chicken. But that's just me. But we try our best every single meal to make the healthiest, greatest thing possible for us to eat. And it's because we know my dad's a diabetic. My stepmom is epileptic, just like I am. And she's also got some other issues that comes with her epilepsy, because just like me, she's got brain damage. The only difference is she's only got psychosis. She don't have full-blown schizophrenia, because I was born with schizophrenia. It just made it worse when I got the brain damage. It made it harder to control. But I'm still able to do it. Why? Because I have damn willpower, And a lot of people don't have willpower anymore. I've literally saw a video where a young lady sat there and claimed she could do anything a man could, that a man's job was not hard. So this construction worker that was on the podcast said, I'll give you a job. Let's see how you do. They followed her for 1 day. She quit within the first 3 hours, saying it was too hard to handle. And she was a helper. She did nothing but run back and forth and bring them tools. But it was too hot. It was too hard to handle. She didn't want to do it. And that just goes to prove some of the points, because she was she was Gen Z. That just goes to prove some of the points that I'm getting at about these younger generations. They don't want to work. If they do want to work, they want to just stand there, hang out with their friends, collect a paycheck, and do the bare minimum work. If you can't figure out no mayonnaise, add mustard, you don't need $15 an hour. If you can't figure out, don't put onions on my stuff, which that's just an example. I love onions. But if you can't understand no onions or no mayo or plain and dry even, you don't need $15 an hour. You need like $3. Because that's what your work ethic is worth. You guys don't understand. Pay used to be based around work ethic. It used to be based around how hard of a worker you were, how good of a job you did, how much you paid attention to every bit you put into your job, and they don't do that anymore. Why? Because everybody deserves the same amount of pay. No, everybody does not deserve the same amount of pay. I'm sorry, if I'm standing there busting my ass all day long trying to do something like forging or trying to do something like gardening, and this little prick gets to sit over here and do nothing and get all the money he wants and gets to live a better life than me? Oh, no, buddy. And you think that I'm fucked up mentally? Just because I sit here wearing armor and I'm talking to a friend of mine who happens to be wearing blue makeup? Guys, if you think that I'm mentally insane, talk to a Gen Z. Talk to a Gen Alpha. There's actually nothing wrong with these people, but they are knucking butts. It has become chic to be sick. It has become chic to be addicted. It has become chic to traumatize everybody around you. And man, I'm sick of it. I really am. And I'm not saying it's like this all around the world. I'm saying it is like that here in America. And I'm tired of it, guys. And yes, for those of y'all who are going to sit there and say, well, then leave the country, I'm working on it. I want to go back to Sweden. I want to return to my people's ancestral homeland. I want to bring the gauges back to Sweden. And guys, that's where I'm going to stay. I ain't leaving. I'm going to find my own little village, and that's where I'm going to be. And even if it takes me till I'm 80 years old, I'm going to make it there. Because it's not the destination, it's the journey. The journey is what teaches you. The journey is what is important. The journey is what helps you to grow. The destination is just your reward. So if you guys are struggling and you're having problems, just remember, you're going to eventually get a reward. And when you do, it's going to be great. You know, even if you have to wait till the next life and you got to bust your ass every day in this one just to make it, your reward will still be great.
I love to hear you talk about these kind of issues and your insight into what's going on with the youth of our nation. I do disagree with you though. And the reason why I disagree with you is because there's two sides of it.
There is.
There's the side that yes, you should know what manual labor is. You should. You should be able to handle manual labor. You should be able to handle something like handing tools to someone on a hot day. But then there's also the other side of it of we have so much technology now, we don't have to do it that way.
No, I do agree with you there.
Our children, like you're in a forge right now because you enjoy being in a forge. But that doesn't dismiss the truth that if I needed 10,000 armor plates, I'm going to go to a factory. You know,
Yeah.
we've risen in technology for a reason because we do understand what it means to mass produce things. But you don't mass produce everything. You shouldn't mass produce apartment buildings. You shouldn't mass produce houses. Why? Because that's how mistakes get made. I live in an apartment building where, you know, sometimes, you know, I look at an outlet and the outlet is crooked. And I'm like, you rushed my electrical system? You know, the thing that I have to plug into?
The thing
And
that can set my whole apartment on fire?
And you didn't think that it was worth an extra 5 seconds to say, no, I didn't do it right the first time. Let me just do it again before I glue it in there. This kind of attitude is almost leading me to when we should have robots building houses. The whole construction agency that's been going on should have been an obsolete job. I know that people love being a construction worker. They love going into coal mines too, but that doesn't mean that you have to live your life that way. You know,
I absolutely agree, man. I really do. And the reason being is because we do have the technology to make life better. We do. But the problem is the powers that be, aka the rich folks in charge, they don't want us to have an easier life. They don't want us to be able to sit back and enjoy life's many pleasures and life's many beautiful things that is provided by nature herself. You know, we're a part of this nature. If you guys have ever seen the video of Coco the gorilla's last words the night before she died, she literally looked at everybody and she said, I am nature. You are nature. You know, she was like, man must wake up. Man must help mother. She kept referring to nature as mother, you know, and guys, that came from an animal. That was an animal's actual thoughts. They are so connected that they know every little detail about nature. They are so connected. That connection is something I'm envious of. That ability to literally read the energies of the planet is amazing. Now, I claim to be able to feel them, but that might just be my cuckoo craziness. But even if it isn't,
own that, Clint. You need to own that and stop feeling white guilt over being a part of the universe. If I give
I
you
don't
one
feel
thing,
guilt.
no, you say that you can feel the universe in what you're trying to say there, but then you will immediately back down and say, oh, it could be I'm just fucking crazy. And it's just like, you know, you could be both. You could be both. And I think it's crazy to not feel that way. It's crazy to look at a tree and say, you're in my fucking way, and not, I'm in the fucking way of this tree. People chop down trees that their roots bring up the sidewalk, and it's that tree was there before you. You moved into the forest. That's what humans don't understand. You moved into the forest and decided it was going to be a city. and now
Yep.
are pissed because the city is really a forest underneath.
And you see, that's why I used that phrase earlier. If one wishes to live under the oak, one should tend to the oak. That comes directly from the Havamal, directly from Odin's wisdom. You know, if you wish to live under the oak, you better tend to it. Which means if you wish to live on the land, you better tend to it. If you wish to live in a village, you better tend to it. You know, guys, and it's because it cultivates unity. It cultivates the ability to sit back and go, hey, we did this. Not I, we. And there's nothing more powerful than human teamwork when it's actually working. Look at the Manhattan Project. Literally something that was thought to be a complete fiction, especially when Jules Verne explained it before it ever became a thing, you know. And then you got Albert Einstein, who figured out how to do it with his simple equation of E equals mc squared, you know. And this little simple equation brought us into the atomic age, whenever that was just a thing. That was just a fantasy before that. And guys, they did it in months. They didn't do it in years. They created atomic energy in months. Yeah, it was used to kill millions of people. Oops. But the whole thing about it was it stopped a war. It stopped an entire war with 2 bombs.
You want to talk about how impactful that is. I'm saying the same exact thing is with virtual and augmented reality.
Yeah.
The people who are young right now, they grow up in a Roblox world. They grow up in a world where you click a button, the block levitates in midair, and then you build a whole house out of blocks. And then on top of that, you spray paint on a wallpaper. But the house itself is made of far stronger material. And you tell a person, go to a construction site, there's a grid system in these Roblox games. There's a grid system. So everything is perfectly aligned. And if it's not aligned, you just undo and then you redo until it's perfectly aligned. But construction is always
Problem solve.
there. And then they hit the hammer on the nail, and the nail goes this way, the nail goes that way, and they say, you know, the homeowners are going to see any of this. The homeowners isn't going to need any of this. Why do we still pretend like we're living in the 1950s? We're not the same people. When you started doing, you know, Minecraft and Roblox and all of these, like SimCity, once you did
Yes.
SimCity, and then you could see, hey, if I build a road from here to there, and it's the only road from here to there, traffic comes to a halt. Hey, that means that there's a problem. There's an actual limit to how many roads you can build. You can always build another road until you run out of room. And right now, we live in cities where you ran out of room 10, 20 years ago, but you kept buying cars, making cars, and shipping them to the same cities that are now overcrowded with them. Where I have to, at this point, wear my Maybelline Superstay Matte Ink Liquid Lipstick to say, you have a bit of a problem with carbon monoxide. And it's choking you out, it's choking out your kids, it's giving you cancer, it's giving you lung cancer. Do something about it.
And you see, I choose the old ways over the new ways because the old ways were more understanding. The old ways were more, you go do your thing, I'll go do my thing. If we happen to correlate, then cool. If not, oh well. Because, I mean, guys, here's a great example. Alexander the Great is looked up to by so many different people. Guys, he had 3 wives and 2 gay boyfriends, one of which he was actually in love with, you know. But we look up to this person and we think of him as the
pinnacle of leadership in a lot of situations. Guys, you want to know who one of the greatest pinnacles of leadership I've ever seen was? JFK. John F. Kennedy was literally trying to make this world a better place. And he got killed for it. He literally got shot over his beliefs. And guys, if I die over my beliefs, okay, cool. Just realize you better shoot me in the back, because you pull that gun out on my front, and before you ever even finish drawing it, I might take your arm. And that's just truth. I walk around with this thing. It's not just for show. This is an actual weapon. I walk around with this every day. This is on my hip, and you better hope that gun's faster than my axe is. Because it takes only literally, I've timed it. It takes less than a second for me to draw my axe. It takes literally 2 seconds for me to swing it.
You talk about John F. Kennedy, but it's not just John F. Kennedy. It's pretty much anyone in America. America has been silencing people. Juice WRLD, silenced. Tupac, silenced. Biggie Smalls, silenced. Kurt Cobain, silenced. All these people who try to make a difference. Mac Miller, silenced. And they scare the fuck out of that Ariana Grande girl. They scare the fuck out of her every chance they get to say, keep making movies, keep singing, don't ever fucking take a break, and make sure that you're saying what we tell you to say. They fucking scare the fuck out of these people. That's what America is. America's a thug country. Thug country. But its time has come, because guess what? The United Nations Human Rights Commission is investigating the United States. Thanks to XIlyana, who has brought a case against the United States for all its thuggery.
And you see, it sometimes takes extreme measures like that. It sometimes takes one person's voice to step up and act. That's why I said, write your senator. That's why I said, write your Congress. Write your government and tell them how stupid they're being. Because if so many people rise up and if half of America rose up and wrote their senators and said, hey, look, you need to retire. Guys, that's going to cause a huge movement. That's going to cause a huge stink in the Congress, because some of these people have got outdated views. Some of these people are damn near in their 80s. Have you watched an actual Congress meeting? Some of these guys are wheeled in with colostomy bags and catheters, and they're sat in their chair, and then they fall asleep, and then they cast their vote. That's a large chunk of our Senate.
Clint, I'm trying to shake you out of this. How do I shake you out of this? I'm trying to shake you out of it because I don't want to say it this way, but I live on the West Coast. I live on the West Coast because almost everything to the east is just gone to me. Gone.
Yeah.
Because when you live on the West Coast, you realize that their old way of thinking has always hurt you. And that Washington, D.C. is not made of real people anymore. You talk about the fact that these people are old, and you wheel them in and they just cast the vote for the people who pay them. Well, guess what? You don't need their vote. I don't need their vote. I don't need their approval. I live in a state that believes in states' rights. And even though we don't agree on everything in California, at the very least, I can live my own life here. And I can say that these people in Washington don't define who I am. Mm-hmm. And you talk about write to your senator. I'm like, no, man, what you really need to do is take your money out. Take your money out. That's the only thing they understand. They don't understand a phone call. They don't understand a letter campaign. They don't understand people marching and protesting. They understand when restaurants are empty. They understand when movie theaters are empty.
They understand when their pocketbook is being hit. And I do agree with you there. Have you ever seen the movie Zeitgeist?
No.
You might want to check it out, brother. It's got a lot of really good stuff that you'll like in it. First off, talks about religion. Then it talks about the money system, about how our government works. And then it talks about what it's doing to everybody. And it's a protest film. It really is. So it's right up your alley. And there's 3 videos about it, and it's meant to wake people up. It's meant to open people's eyes. I think you can actually find it here on YouTube. But what I'm getting at is they mentioned something called the Venus Project in Zeitgeist. And what they say in there is that if the world could learn to be a resource-based world, not a resource-based economy, not a resource-based country, a resource-based world where we all share the resources we have. And we focus on improvement of human life as opposed to the detrimental destruction of everybody's simple and happiness. And they're destroying our right to have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. They're taking it away from us. And it's because it takes money out of their paychecks. It takes money out of their wallet. They actually got to do some work instead of just showing up every now and then to cast a vote. You know, guys, and yes, they might be sitting down doing a shitload of paperwork about their state and everything like that. But I'm sorry, George Washington ran a farm, went to war, still ran his damn farm, came back and continued to run that farm, even though he was the president of the United States. He still worked just like everybody else did. You know, Benjamin Franklin may not have fought in the war, but guess what? His innovative, intelligent, and absolutely brilliant for his time inventions was what drove America into the American Revolution. You know, the J.P. Morgan, Rockefeller, and Rothschilds, they may have bought the country, but Ben Franklin gave them the blueprints, you know, and these things, you know, like you said, it doesn't matter if you write your senator anymore. I only say that to get them so people would to get them scared. But what Zeitgeist calls for is for everybody to just quit being a part of the machine. Just quit being a part of the cog. You know, just sit back for a little while, go get what you need, and then come back. And then just wait for these guys in the government to freak the hell out. And if everybody in the world did that and just decided, you know what, I'm going to take care of myself and I'm not going to go spend my money on entertainment. I'm not going to go spend my money on political rallies. I'm not going to go spend my money in social entertainment. You know, instead, I'm going to focus on the skills I need to make myself better, to make me have a better life, and to make me have a better experience in this life and be happy until the day I die. You know, and if we took the time to be able to do those things, yes, it would send the whole world into a people. It would. It would be a long adjustment period because there's going to be a lot of countries, like, for instance, North Korea, that are going to try to invade their own people. You know, they're going to try to attack their own people because their people decided, nope, I ain't doing it no more. You know, and I think the Generation Alpha might be the ones to try to start doing that, but they have no way of fixing it whenever it's done. They don't have the intelligence anymore to do it. And I hate to put it that way.
They need a leader, you know, unfortunately. And I just want to go to Mars, so I'm not trying to be that leader. I'm not trying to help
No,
these kids. But
no, I'm just trying to go to the Alps. Leave me alone.
what you're talking about is a really, really cool thing because when you pull out of being underneath the wheel, this is why I used to love entertainment. I used to love entertainment because sure, you could watch a silly, trashy show, but if it taught you something about
It
the
taught you
world,
something.
then it was worth it. When I would watch something like The Wheel of Time on Amazon Prime,
That's a great one.
it's a great one. It's beautiful fantasy. It's the special effects have
Wonderful.
gotten better than when they
Wonderful.
started. It got better, but I love it because they talk about the one power, and I love that idea. I love that idea that somewhere you can channel this confidence, this ability to change the world around you. But then there's always these people who want to gentle you. And sometimes, they gentle you by physically harming you. And sometimes they do it by plugging you into systems like the wrong type of food, or just mindlessly watching television, or just
DACA
the
Lux.
internet itself with porn. Like, I love porn. When I meet porn stars, and I have met a couple porn stars, I say thank you. I say thank you because, number one,
Thank
you're
you for your
liberating
mattress service.
yeah, baby, yeah. So I appreciate them because it means that I liberated myself from paying to go to a bar that was selling me alcohol to hang out with people that I never really fucking enjoyed, and saving me from being in relationships that I would have been abused in, or I would have been unhappy in. So I thank these porn stars, but even porn itself, like, if you try and watch porn, it's just a way for them to try to hook you back into business.
Yeah.
It's a way to say, yeah, you came here to masturbate, but could we also sell you medication? Could we also sell you music? Could we also sell you clothes? And it's just, no, I really wanted to just think about sex for a moment.
Yeah,
But
and
everything
I
tries to
get
put
that.
you back into a system. And once you remove that, and when they break the system, when people start saying, yeah, I could spend my money on a restaurant, or I could just cook, guess what? You know what they're going to do? They're going to break the system. And once they break, the Great Depression was only a depression if you lived in a fucking city.
Yeah, I know.
If
My
you lived on
grandfather
a farm, you didn't even
were
know the
good.
fucking difference. You didn't know the difference. You probably said, damn, the cows are worth a little bit more than it used to. An egg is worth a little bit more than it used to. But you didn't fucking feel a thing. You know why? Because you were handling your business. You were handling your shit. As opposed to these people in the city, a great depression. Oh, the market is going down. Well, good. Because don't tell me that a cell phone is more important than bread and meat. Meat is more important than bread, number one. But two, that food in general should be the most important thing. The right food should always be the most important thing. And somehow, Greece is a great example
Tobacco.
of, they just let it go. They just let the economy go. And you know what? For a minute, the whole European Union was looking to them as in, you're bankrupt. Greece went bankrupt. You know what Greece looking bankrupt actually is? It's not people rioting and crying in the streets. It's the island of Mykonos, where they were just having fucking sex. They were having sex, they were drinking, they were enjoying themselves, they were partying, they were living like they used to live in Athens, and they were happy.
I'm sorry, I'm
Being
getting rid of a
bankrupt is
bunch of
not rude people in there. I know. I was trying to, fill in until you were ready to join back in. But yeah, Greece was showing that being broke is not the end of the world. It's the beginning of something new. Once we get off the dollar, once we get off the yen and the euro and all of it, and start saying an egg is worth an egg, beef is worth beef, or an hour of time watching the cows, like you just said. How much work is that? That's a lot of work. You can't just say, oh, well, you're a farmer, you chose this life. It's like, no, I'm a consumer. I need to fucking eat. So if I need to watch a
yeah.
cow in order to, eat, well, I guess I go to certain channels.
But now, here's something for you. You were mentioning porn earlier, and the first thing that popped into my head was that song, "The Internet Is for Porn," which made me giggle, because there's actually a huge problem going on right now with the porn industry. They're having a lot of issues with these OnlyFans girls. They're coming on, they're wanting to work for a little while, and then they're wanting to quit. And, there's also a huge problem with these people that are trying to groom young girls into becoming porn stars. And guys, there is actually nothing wrong with sex work. It's been around for a long ass damn time, but it's always been a last resort, unless you were just a nymphomaniac. you know. And if that's the case, bang on, baby. But the whole thing about it is you know, I'm actually not groomed. I was actually indoctrinated to be hateful towards this man. This is actually my own opinions. This is my own thoughts, you know, guys. I don't believe in a mass way of thinking. I believe everybody should be a free thinker. You know, there used to be a thing where Robin Williams would come on playing his role of the genie every day on Disney or every Saturday on the Disney Saturday morning cartoons. And he would say, great minds think alike. And they'd be like, no, great minds think for themselves. And that's true. Great minds think for themselves. So guys, if we want an amazing country, we got to think for ourselves. We got to learn how to be free thinkers. We don't need to be groomed. We don't need to be indoctrinated. We need to learn how to think on our own lines. And that's something I came up with. So no, I'm not indoctrinated. I'm not groomed. I am absolutely the opposite. I have had zero contact with the outside world until about maybe 15 years ago is when I came out of the woods, you know, and started, no, not even 15 years ago. God damn. It was over 15 years ago I went into the woods. Shit, I've lost track of time, you know, but the simple fact of the matter is I was never exposed to any of this stuff until January 17th. And then I started watching some videos and I started thinking, you know, I don't hate these people. I don't see nothing wrong with these people. I don't see anything wrong with a Muslim. And the reason, or a transvestite or a transsexual, I don't see no problems with them. What I see problems with is people's attitude. You can literally be the same kind of person that Ian is and have a good attitude. And people will accept you. But if you've got this victim mentality, this blame everybody bullshit, this, oh, you only hate me because I'm LGBTQ+, or, oh, you're going to kill me because you're a cop, you know, because I saw a video where a young man was being dragged out for literally beating his teacher up. He was being dragged out and he's like, he's a cop, he's going to kill me, I ain't going to live, oh my God, tell my parents I'm dead. You know, he's freaking out because his parents have literally taught him that the cops are going to kill him no matter what. You know, and they're not Gestapo. They're not, you know, Nazis. There are police officers. There are first responders. There are people who have taken an oath to protect us. And what are we doing? We're not protecting them. Because I'll tell you right now, I see a cop in trouble, I'm coming to his aid. I see a black man in trouble, I'm coming to his aid. I see a gay man in trouble, I'm coming to his aid. I see a woman in trouble, I'm coming to her aid. That's just the way it works. You know, it's called compassion. It's called common courtesy. It's called decency. You know, and we don't have these things anymore. And guys, I do apologize for my teeth. They're just bad because of my medication. But, you know, there's a lot of things. What about a white person that needs help? I'm going to help them. My friend Aaron, who's completely Caucasian, lives a mile away. He's paralyzed. I go over to his house almost every single day to clean it for him, to take care of his lawn, to do any repairs that he needs. And then I come home. I come home and I do my late night show. So it doesn't matter who you are. I'm going to help you. You know, that's just who I am. I can't stop that, guys. It's a driving force that is so powerful, I can't say no to it. And that's why I try to be friends with as many people as I can. You know, mainly because I've never met very many people. And I love meeting interesting people. And to me, Ian is a very interesting young man. He has some very great ideas. He has some very great qualities to him. So what that he likes dick? Okay? I know plenty of chicks that like pussy that are accepted. You know, and men are so ready to jump onto the lesbian or bisexual girl bandwagon. They're just like, wah! You know, but none of them were willing to be like, good for you, man. Go get you that. You know, go get you a piece of booty. Nobody's willing to do that.
I think we lost something when we demonized friendship between men. I think that we lost the ability to see the power in that. And because there is power when men can share a commonality. Sex is definitely something that some men share together, but sometimes you would be able to talk about real issues like this and then gather together, because that's what this is all about. This homophobia is not about having sex with a man, it's talking to another man. That's what people are afraid of. They're afraid of you talking to another man and agreeing, because when men gather,
Shit happens.
shit happens. And to what you were saying about the whole females in OnlyFans and stuff like that, I couldn't hear most of it because all I could hear is the panting of that dog. But that also made me think, yeah, it's an empty business. Yeah, I understand. Porn is an empty business right now. It really is, because unlike Hollywood, you don't have that many projects. Your porn career can sometimes be just one summer.
Yeah.
Like, you do one movie and then guess what? They're on to the next person. Like
Debbie Does Dallas.
Debbie Does Dallas. You know Debbie from Debbie Does Dallas. Do you know her from any other film?
Nope.
Thank you. And when these young girls do porn, guess what? They did one feature film. They made a cash check out of it. But then the OnlyFans, and I know I'm upset because OnlyFans wouldn't accept me, but damn it, they have a way of helping people, because they say, look, if you get one or two guys who want to see your content exclusively, guess what? You have fans. Do you realize you have fans? There's a guy, Griffin Burrows, who I enjoy his comment. I enjoy his I enjoy everything he does. He's super sexy, and he was doing feature films here and there. But the moment he went into OnlyFans, it just became love.
Yeah.
Because if you click on his OnlyFans, you're a fan of him. If you click on his video, well, maybe you just needed to, get something done and then you moved on with your life. But OnlyFans is opening people up to, hey, let someone worship you. Let someone tell you you're beautiful. Let someone buy you a gift. We keep trying to plug ourselves into, can you work in fast food? Can you do construction? Can you work in a warehouse? Can you just fit into this? Because that's all you are. You're just a robot. You're just a robot, and that's all we treat you as. And OnlyFans is saying, no. You're just as beautiful as Beyonce. You're just as beautiful as Rihanna. And let these people tell you that you're beautiful and pay to tell you that you're beautiful. Because you got bills to pay, and these young girls being groomed into this. Ugh, I hate saying that. I hate saying that, because if you're a young girl and you need to pay for college, guess what? There's someone who wants to stare at your feet.
Yeah.
And if they're willing to pay top dollar to stare at your feet while you get a law degree, while you get a degree in chemistry, fucking let them stare at your feet if you feel up to it. If you feel up to it.
And you see, I agree with that.
Then you have every right to say, no, I'll get a student loan.
Shit.
But if you don't want to pay a student loan and you want to let someone stare at your feet, let them stare at your fucking feet. Get rid of that fucking pride.
Hold on. I'm
sorry to hear that. Are you okay?
Shut.
Thank you, Lutz Gatti. As a bisexual, I appreciate people like you, brother. Thank you so much. I just believe in sexual freedom. I believe that we've been prudes for far too long. having, dildos and vibrators and things like that, and just saying my masturbation time is more than just ejaculation. It's actually me time. It's me worship time. That is a beautiful experience. That is health. That is mental health. Like, live your life, live your truth. Like, not everyone is guaranteed a magical boyfriend or girlfriend who's going to feed you grapes and tell you you're the most beautiful thing on the planet. You don't get that often. Some people do, and good luck to you if you have that. Hold on to it. But if you don't have that, then you know what? Treat yourself like a fucking king or queen and let your freak flag fly.
Oh yeah. I'm glad that you took up my little saying there on the let your freak flag fly.
It's a beautiful alliteration, and I agree with it 100%. It's one of the things that empowered me to buy that new vibrator for myself. I bought it because I said, he has a point. Like, I'm here crying about my fucking PTSD and how I have so much PTSD I'm not dating. That doesn't mean I'm fucking dead. I'm still fucking alive. I should get those fucking orgasms while I can. And if I can't have someone else give them to me, then you know what? I give them to myself. And I will tell myself I'm beautiful. I will look at myself in the mirror and tell myself I'm beautiful. And most guys don't think that way because they're so masculine that they don't want to say, sometimes I feel less than beautiful. Sometimes I don't feel handsome. Or I tried to ask a girl out and she said no. And she always has a right to say no if she said no. But
yeah,
I have the right to also look at myself and say, somebody will say yes, or someone could say yes. If I look at myself and say I'm beautiful, if I take care of myself. So part of taking care of yourself is sometimes enjoying that pleasure. And if OnlyFans teaches you to enjoy your life, enjoy your body, then that's what it's there for. It's not just the money, it's the self-esteem. And America has a problem with self-esteem sometimes.
Oh yeah. Check.
Number
By
one,
the
are
way,
you okay?
Ian. Check this out, Ian. You think you got a pretty little doggy? This is my stepmom's dog. If I could get the camera to spin around. Nope, I can't. But there's her. That's Grace. Hi, little Grace.
Oh, that is the most adorable thing ever. I love dogs.
We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 5 dogs.
I'm so
And
jealous.
2's my dad's, 2's my stepmom's.
I'm so jealous. I love having a dog in my life because, my dog takes care of me. It shakes me out of nightmares because of my PTSD. It reminds me to eat when I don't eat. My dog takes care of me like no human can. I have a service animal because of my PTSD from military sexual trauma.
Yeah.
No, people are being rude, and you know what? If they're rude, then we just keep being ourselves, because that's all the thing you can do. Because it's just their opinion doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter to me, and it shouldn't matter to you. I mean, look at that. We're on YouTube, and they're just the audience sometimes. And I appreciate people like Jelly Moss who keeps coming in this channel, and that's why you got yourself a little moderator right there. With great power comes great responsibility. So thank you for helping us corral some of these people. But guess what? I believe in freedom of speech. If you disagree with what I have to say, at least do it. But if you just come in here to be a troll and be rude, then that just shows the lack of character that you have, the lack of honor. And if anything, it just gives more validity to the fact that Clint is absolutely right about living his life as a forge master.
You know, guys, come on. You're still sitting here watching. The whole reason why I wear the armor is to bring people in whenever I'm on the show. Otherwise, y'all have never saw my armor. You know, y'all have never saw me in it, except for maybe once or twice on Halloween. But I wear this armor because it draws people in. You know, I wear this armor because I enjoy wearing it. I wear this armor because I feel good in it. I think I look good in it, you know? And there's just so many different things that could easily be taken into consideration that people don't. And what I mean by that is you can easily take into consideration somebody else's lifestyle, what somebody went through, what their pains were, what their struggles were. And if you take those into consideration, guys, you tend to have a better way of thinking and looking at the world. And dang, that came out wrong. But you have a better way of looking at and tending to the world. You have a better understanding of who people are, you know, and with most of these people deciding that they're just going to be one way and one way only, and they're only going to agree with one opinion, no matter what anybody else says, no matter what anybody else shows them, that one opinion is the only opinion that matters. And that's not true, guys. They're mowing the lawn out in the back, and I don't care. Wearing black and yellow, not fun. But, you know, it's just, I've seen so many incidences where people are just rude for no damn reason because they feel like they need to be because they disagree. I disagree. Oh my God. I'm sorry. The world is meant, humankind is meant to debate. We're meant to have debates between each other. We're meant to have differing opinions. We're meant to be different people. We're not all meant to be the same goddamn motherfucker. If we were, it would be a boring as hell existence. There'd be one man and one woman, and they'd be, you know, for the entire planet, and it would be dull as fuck.
We're meant to share resources.
Master race. That's why I don't believe. Yeah, we're meant to share resources with each other. When the Neanderthals first ran into the Cro-Magnon, what did they do? They tried trading with them. They tried breeding with them. They tried welcoming them into the tribe. What did the Cro-Magnon do? They literally hunted down and ate the Neanderthals. Yeah, that's new discovery. We found a whole Cro-Magnon cave that was filled with Neanderthal bones that had tool marks on them from being butchered. But the Neanderthals were just like, hey, baby. So what are we doing now? We're doing the same thing to each other. The only difference is we're not eating each other. And these, not that way. You know, I might like eating a little pussy every now and then, but
I was
I'm
about to
not
say,
physically eating
I
it.
think you eat a little bit, just a little bit, little nibbles.
Yeah, bitch. You know, but the whole fact of the matter is just that the word disagreement, it has the word agreement in it. And the reason why it has the word agreement in it is because at one point you agreed and then you did. So you disagreed. And I was going to stay sitting outside, but I couldn't really hear you over the lawnmower, which disappoints the hell out of me.
Aww.
But I was enjoying myself under that tree. But we will be going back outside some other time. But as for right now, I just got to say that I'm just surprised we haven't collapsed before now. I'm surprised we haven't collapsed and started the collapse until now. But guys, I truly believe that if you're Christian, we're in the rapture. If you're Norse pagan like me, we're in the wolf times. Yeah, I actually don't know what the Azteca version of the end of days is. Do you?
they foretold a way of seeing through it, and they just believed it was cyclical. They didn't see
Okay.
it as the end of the world, I guess is the best way to put it. Which is why I said to you earlier about the Great Depression. The Great Depression was only really bad if you
For the
lived in a
rich.
city, if you were rich, because then you realize that you spent your money on silver and gold toilet seats instead of spending it on
Silver and gold
reinforced
ingots.
windows and food, because you could ride out that depression. You could ride out anything. We need to be able to tell people, you know what, you don't have to agree with me. You don't have to agree with the way that I run my life. But just like you telling me, you can't have, sex with a man, I don't want to be the one who has to tell you stop giving your wife missionary because she's been
Exactly,
asking
which
for fucking doggy style, and guess what? You don't give it to her, and this is why she leaves you.
actually my favorite position is doggy. But that's my favorite. And you mentioning the Great Depression. You know how my mom's daddy and his family made it through? They were iron workers. They built the cities that these people were trying to move into. The way that my dad's daddy survived it was farming, hunting, and fishing. They didn't know there was a Great Depression until it finally came to their town. Till they got their town only got one newspaper for the whole town, and they would post it up at City Hall. And his dad went to City Hall and came home one day and was like, "Y'all know we were in a depression? They're talking about there ain't no money out there." My grandpa said his mama looked dead at his daddy and said, "Who cares? We got what we need right here." Why isn't
That's
it
a big
like that everywhere?
because the cities are so damn comfortable. They're so damn comfortable. Even when you have, now you talk about your schizophrenia and your monsters and all of that. There are actual monsters roaming the streets. There are gangs, people with automatic weapons all the time. And then you have the situation where, there are riots, there are chemical plants that are poisoning your water all the time. But at least with the depression, you were able to say, you know what, you're fine. You can go without money to buy a brand new car when you don't have anywhere to go. When the job stops, you don't have anywhere to go. Like when COVID blew through this town, the market took a dive and people started realizing, fuck it, I think I actually have a wife. I think I actually have kids. I mean, I don't really see them that often because I'm normally at my job, but yeah, these things that I live with people. People
Yeah.
forgot that they lived with people. Whole marriages finally had to talk to each other because they had to be in the
Mm-hmm.
same room. They were quarantined. And you had to realize that either you really loved each other or you fucking hate each other and you should fucking move. And that's a good thing.
And you
You
see it.
should want that. You have rights. You always
And you
have
see,
rights.
unfortunately, you are right on the if you hate each other, because the highest divorce rate this country has ever seen was during the pandemic. And it was because, like you said, men and women that normally had free time away from each other where they could recharge, come back home and see their wife, because sometimes you got to recharge whether you love them or not. And they didn't have that recharge ability anymore. So divorce went through the freaking roof. And this also happens to be, which I'm going to bring this up and see what you think about this, because I know it doesn't really revolve around you, but I am a father. Have you heard about this new mandatory paternity tests for newborn children and mandatory paternity tests for anyone going through a divorce. You know, and it's so that fathers aren't paying for kids that are not theirs. Now, this is something that freaked me out. 33% of Texas. That's a lot of fucking people. 33% of Texas are raising kids that are not their own. We're taking care of children that were not their own. We're about, you know, when it came down to when they first passed this law and they first started making it mandatory, it turned out that a shocking 63% of men were not the father of the child that their wives were pregnant with.
Cuckold.
This is a big problem, you know, and my dad thinks it's going to tear up homes. I'm looking at it this way. If you don't want to take care of a child that isn't yours, why should you? You know, quite frankly, I love my kids. I know they're mine. I can't deny them. They look exactly like I did when I was a kid. And, well, hell, I like showing them off. This is my baby boys when they were babies. They're like 15 now. But that's my baby boys. That's my Elkin and my Jamie. And, you know, I pay my child support gladly because I like to take care of what is mine. But you've got a lot of these guys that don't want to take care of something that's not theirs. And I don't blame them. I don't. You know, and this new law where they're having mandatory paternity tests is actually pissing off the female population. Now, what does that say about America right now? Thank you. What does that say about America right now?
I want to respond to what you're talking about there because I have many opinions on this topic because it goes further than just the paternity test. It goes beyond just, are you the father? It's, what does it mean to be in a relationship? Because people are fucking around in the relationships and they're not honest about it. The men are fucking around and the women are fucking around. And when a man fucks around, oh, you're a dog, you're this, you're that. But when a woman fucks around, no one really says anything really because they don't want to slut shame a woman for enjoying her body. It's your body, live your truth, live your truth. It's like, but you're not being truthful about where your kid comes from. You're not being truthful to the law about who's really responsible for paying for your kid. Because this whole idea of you're in a relationship and you should pay, I'm actually of the opinion, and I love to disagree sometimes, I'm actually of the opinion of if you got suckered into some woman spreading her legs and then spreading her legs for someone else, and you couldn't trust that, then yeah, you deserve to fucking pay. You deserve to fucking pay because you know you were a fucking idiot there, and that kid needed to be fucking paid for, and that kid needed someone to be there, and you probably benefited from raising that kid, even if that kid isn't yours. You know why? Because people don't want to take responsibility for anything, especially when they don't think it's theirs. And this kid is fucking innocent. So I agree with doing the test, but I also agree with if you can't trust your girlfriend to fucking keep her legs together when you exit the fucking room, then you had bigger problems and you were a fucking idiot. Because why are you with someone like that? The lesson shouldn't just be don't let your girlfriend sleep around. It should be how about you actually know this person who you consider your girlfriend?
Yeah.
Because if you just said you had a hookup, that's a different story.
And you see, I've got to dress it a little bit here, guys. It is hot. But I'm hitting 90 degrees. I'm hitting 90 degrees in here. But anyway, a lot of people have asked me, why is it I'm with Jin Jin? And it's because my Jin Jin isn't exactly the prettiest woman on the planet to everybody else. To me, she's drop dead gorgeous. And the reason being is because of her beauty, the heart that she has, the loyalty that she shows. You know, she is an amazing woman, inside and out, you know, and people can't see stuff like that about people anymore. You know, all they see is what they want to. And a lot of times what people want to see is a magazine cover Vogue woman. They want to see a man with six-pack abs that's 6 foot tall, you know, that has a Lamborghini and has $100,000 in his bank account at all times, and that's the bare minimum, you know. And you've got this generation of women and this generation of men that were raised in a culture where, hey, sleeping around is okay as long as they don't find out, right? No, guys. One of my codes of ethics as a Norseman is literally adultery is wrong. You know, Freya will have her revenge. And quite frankly, I don't want to be on the receiving end of a goddess's anger. You know, because as they say, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. And the last thing I want to do is end up in front of a woman whose name is literally hell. You know? So, guys, adultery is not cool. You know, cheating on your spouse is not the way to go. If you feel like you want something different, end the relationship and move on. Don't continue something that can quite possibly be a lie. Don't continue something that can quite possibly make you feel like you're not worth anything. Because, guys, by the end of that relationship, you're going to feel worthless. You're going to feel like you have nothing to contribute. You know, that you're just some dude who's paying the bills. And nobody wants to feel that way. Or you're just some chick that lives in this guy's house that gives him booty. You know, nobody wants to feel that way. And I'm sure it even happens in the LGBTQ plus community. I'm sure it happens there too. You know,
It certainly does. You know, we get such a stigma for our sexual freedom, but sometimes it's sexual honesty. Sometimes it's sexual honesty when your boyfriend fucking cheats on you or you cheat on your boyfriend because then you realize I'm not getting what I need. And sometimes you don't want to date someone because they remind you of State Farm insurance. They're the safe bet. They're the safe way to go about things. Sometimes you want a little fucking danger. If it's so wrong, why does it feel so good? You know, it's something that we need to talk about. We need to talk about the reason why people cheat. People cheat because they're missing something they want to experience. If your boyfriend or girlfriend is boring in bed, why are you with them? Why? And if you are the boring person, don't you want to get better? Don't you want someone to maybe teach you how to fuck your wife? Don't you want someone to guide that fucking orgasm out of you and teach you how to do it? Give that woman that pleasure? You see, that's the reason why I'm a pagan. And I know you're a pagan, but I believe in the Native American way of sometimes you have a spiritual healer and sometimes you have a sexual healer. Believe in the sexual healing. Believe in it. Because sometimes you need someone to bring that spark back to your marriage. You go to a fucking hooker, you go to a fucking prostitute, and she teaches you how to talk to a woman. She teaches you how to pleasure a woman because sometimes you get fucking lazy. You don't want to eat that pussy? You don't eat it. Okay, well, she's gonna force you to fucking eat it, and you're gonna fucking love it because number one, you paid for it, and two, she's teaching you that you get so much more. You make her wet, you make her moist, and she wants you that much more. That is what's missing in these marriages because people walk you down the aisle, you say the fucking words, and then you don't know that you're stuck with this person. And if you're not growing as people together, you grow apart. So if you're growing apart, at least be honest about it. This whole paternity thing, that is the honesty. Because that's finally admitting that you wanted someone else. Instead of pretending that this person was the one who makes you happy. And that person might actually be the one who makes you happy, but maybe not sexually. Maybe you need a sexual adventure. You need someone to spin you around and do a reverse wheelbarrow. All the fun things that this person doesn't want to do. Like you talk about models on magazine covers. You should. You should fuck off supermodel. I mean, I'm looking at you right now, your little hint of a dad bod and stuff like that. You don't know how fucking sexy you are, man. You don't know. You think you want to settle, but no. You really need to be in a true pagan circle. Awaken your pagan sexuality, because pagans, the hotness. The hotness. You haven't had it as good as a fucking pagan. Let the true brothers and sisters of the pagan faith introduce you to what sex really is supposed to be. It's supposed to be something you share. It's something communal. You're supposed to invite all the people that you know to a fucking house and say, I'm going to fuck this person, and you're going to fuck that person, and that person's going to watch, and then that person's going to switch with that other person. It's supposed to be a communal event. You're not really supposed to even say, this child is mine. Why? Because it shouldn't even matter. You're raising a human being. When you raise a child in your house, that is your child.
Yep. Sorry, but it's your kid if you're taking care of it. You know, and
if you're paying for this child, then yeah, you took care of it. You might as well get a return on your investment. These young fuckers who are saying, damn, that fucking paternity test proves that's not my kid. Who the fuck is going to take care of you when you're fucking 60, 70 years old and you need someone to wipe your ass? You're going to let a fucking nurse do that, or you're going to let your fucking kid do that? It's not a sexy thing to talk about, but that's something you need to talk about. Because these young kids think that I'm going to live this fucking Playboy lifestyle forever. Fuck you and your Playboy lifestyle. Who's going to wipe your ass when you're fucking 60?
Mm-hmm. And you see, that's what I'm worried about. Because I'm heading down a route where I'm going to be stuck in a nursing home. And I'm going to have to rely on somebody I don't know to take care of me. And the reason why I say I'm heading on to a nursing home is because, guys, with schizophrenia comes dementia. And dementia and Alzheimer's is a real thing. It's a very powerful thing. And I have a 75% chance of catching Alzheimer's or dementia. And, well, not catching, but developing. And, you know, guys, that has me worried, because who's going to be there to take care of me when I can't even take care of myself anymore? You know, so yeah, I wish I had my kids in my life. I wish I had a wife that had at least one child, you know, so that way I could be a dad. I could pass on my knowledge, you know, but man, it don't look like it's going to happen. You know, but that's okay.
I will shake you out of it. I'm going to shake you out of this, Clint. I'm going to shake you out of this, because whatever you want in life, you don't have PTSD from military sexual trauma like the American government forced on me. American government castrated me by having a female master sergeant sexually torture me, to the point where I say I cannot have sex with a woman again because of that. But you don't have any of that. I mean, yeah, you have more hang-ups about having sex with a dude, but for you, there are a lot of doors open. And you're a beautiful man inside and out. If you want to be a dad, if you want to marry a woman and raise her kid, you know how many fucking women would love a guy like you, a worldly man? They would pleasure you, they would worship you, and they would be a good partner to you. They would call you on your shit sometimes. And maybe that's what you fucking need. Maybe that's what you really need, is someone who can do that for you. And you need to open the door to that. And here I am, you know, boo-hoo-hoo, I have PTSD from military sexual trauma. I have eyeballs. I know I'm fucking gorgeous. My problem is I'm scared of being hurt after being sexually abused by the United States Air Force. I'm afraid of being hurt. But sometimes you have to fight through the fear. Sometimes you have to fight through the fear and let someone love you. I don't want an American to love me. I've already said that. After what America did to me, they can go fuck themselves for that. But fuck it. If I lived in England, if I lived in Scotland, if I lived in Japan, guess what? I'm gonna let somebody love me. I'm gonna let someone love me. And you keep talking about Sweden. You keep talking about it. Do you know how many Swedish women are fantasizing about a man like you? A man who knows the true history of their people. There are people in Sweden who don't know shit about fucking Sweden. You know more about Sweden than most people in Sweden sometimes. So guess what? There's a Swedish woman out on the internet somewhere who would love to come to your channel and meet you. There's a Swedish woman who's a fucking 10 or 11 on the moral scale. And she wants you. She wants you badly. She would masturbate to your fucking face just to be near you. And that is the real world. You always say, oh, nobody will ever love me. It's just like, look at the eyeballs. Come on. Come on. You have eyeballs, I have eyeballs. I'm an attractive man, you're an attractive man too. Guess what? Get out there and go find whatever you want. And I know Jen is like, you're with that person. But even Jen knows that you're pagan. Knows that you're going to be fucking moving to Sweden. Guess what? Jen deserves someone who wants to stay here. Jen deserves someone who really wants to stay here. Because if you get that opportunity to go to Sweden, you're going to go to fucking Sweden. If I get the opportunity to get my disability benefits, I'm going to fucking Cambridge University, number one, for my doctorate. And then two, I'm also going to be going, and I'm going to fuck as many people as I fucking please. Because guess what? I have a problem with Americans. I don't have a problem with people in general. I have a problem with a Japanese woman in Japan saying hello to me and that she would like to have sexy time with me. Good for her. I want to have sexy time with a Japanese woman in Japan. I don't have sexy time with an American woman in any of these places because I've been abused by America. But if I was somewhere else, guess what? I'm willing to give a chance. And you should give yourself a chance. You're an attractive man. Okay, you act as if you're the hunchback of Notre Dame. Come on, look at yourself, man. Men are jealous of you. You see, men are coming into this channel and call you Davy Crockett and the guy from the Beverly Hills and all of that because they're jealous of you. They're trying to bring you down because they're afraid that you fuck their girlfriends that they don't even have. They're living there to come in here to troll, and they're jealous of the fact that you're looking at a real man who has a forge, a real man that swings an axe. They're afraid of you, and so they say all this mean shit because they really wish that they could be you. And that's why when people talk about my blue lipstick, my lovely Maybelline Superstay matte ink liquid lipstick that I use to protest it, and they say like I look like a Smurf right now. I look fucking sexy. I look at my pictures of me without the lipstick and I say, you know what? I'm glad I am awakened enough to say makeup is for everyone. And when you put makeup on and you don't give a shit what other people say about you, you're that much closer to accepting that you're a sex god. That you're not just a regular person, you're a sex god. And I want you to look at yourself and say that now. You're a sex god. Say it.
I'm a sex god.
Thank you. You feel better now? I feel better.
Well, I will say this. The only reason why I have this humbleness about my appearance is because, honestly, man, like I told you, I didn't even get my first girlfriend until I was 17. I've only been married twice. Both women were there to take advantage. They even admitted that when they left me. And my experience with women has been terrible. It really, really has. It hasn't been good at all. And it's mainly because they don't like the fact that I'm a Renaissance man around here. People in my state can't stand people like me. They can't. So I'm looked at as just a disabled, crazy, fat guy, which is why I'm trying to change every bit of that, because guys, look me dead in the eyes and tell me I'm not serious about trying to change my life. I want to change this. I can't stand where I am at right now. But that is only because the state has made me be that way. And me personally, I see it as if I get an opportunity to get out of here again and to make me a new life somewhere else with my forge and everything else, then I guarantee you I'll have better luck. Because when I moved to Ohio, boy, I was a hot topic. You know, mainly the accent. It was the accent that got them. You know, if it wasn't that, it was these big old baby blues right here. You know, and I have to say my eyes are probably my best feature. You know, and I will agree. I got some gorgeous eyeballs. I will agree that, you know, I've got the dad bod going on. And I don't look terrible, but I also know what women are expecting now. And what most women are expecting is not me. And that's in a very unfortunate occasion because they want these gangbangers, they want these millionaires, they think that
Wrong.
just because, yeah, you know, they think just because they had two that they deserve a 10. And I'm like, guys, come on, wake up. You know, every man knows to try to bat either just a little bit above his league or right in his league. Because if he can get above his league, then that means he can go even higher. And that means he can go even higher. And that means he can go even higher. And that's the way we're raised here in the South. You know, it's not, you know, it's not the same as it is on the West Coast. It really isn't. Here in Southeast Texas, women want guys like you. Like, if you only knew how many girls I showed a picture of, you two, and they were just like, oh my God, why is he gay? You know, wow. You know, they freak out about you, bro. I mean, my own best friend, Aaron, calls you pretty boy. He even says as a straight man, you pretty as hell, you know, and I hang around the right crowd. The only difference is I just haven't found somebody that aligns with my interests. And it's because every woman that I've ran into around down here that is Norse pagan, that would follow by my faith, they want a white power supremacist, which is dumb. Dumb. And here I am. I'm non-conservative. I'm very accepting. I'm hospitable to a freaking fault, you know, and yes, it's brought me problems. It's brought me hell in my life, but I don't care. I don't care. And the reason being is because being me makes me happy, you know, and that's what I'm going to do, you know, guys. And, you know, I actually realized that didn't jiggle for once.
You should trust yourself. You should trust your body. You know what? I'm going to push it every single time that you're on here. You're going to do a calendar. You're going to do a calendar for yourself. You're going to take pictures and you're going to say, this is the month of July and this is me at my hotness. This is me working on the forge. This is me playing with the dogs. This is me, you know, just sitting underneath a tree. Because guess what? You are attractive. You're a strong, powerful man, and women respond to that. You say stay within your leagues. Fuck that, please. You never know. You never know. Even the military had to say to me, bitch, you will date fucking supermodels. You better get fucking used to dating supermodels. Even before they fucking sexually abused me, they were like, you're gonna date a fucking supermodel. Never date a fucking supermodel because you know why? You don't want your kids to look ugly. So you better learn and fucking date a supermodel. But, and this is why I'm like, why would you fucking say abuse me if you knew that I was gonna date supermodels for the rest of my life as a fucking musician? I'm a musician. You know, I'm not gonna pretend like I'm a regular person. You make music with your forge. Let women know you because they will love you. Okay, not even if you know do a romantic thing. Let women fucking worship you. You are fucking sexy, sexy. Look at that beard, big muscular chest. Even your bald head is fucking sexy, man. You know, some men would rather shave their head and you get that fucking naturally, women fucking respond to that because they look at the real part of you. You have high testosterone without even trying. Women can fucking smell that. Let them fucking smell the sweat of a man who works in a forge. They will fucking wet their fucking knickers looking at that. Come on. It's time for a calendar. Come on, big boy, give me a calendar so I can sell it on my channel. I can give a link to it on my channel. I'm going to sell a calendar print.
I know Jin wants me to do a video with her one day and make it 18 and only, where I'm wearing nothing but the armor and my blue jeans, you know, and I'm just sitting here going, but my nipples will chafe. I'm joking.
Look at that sense of humor. Women find that attractive. You see, this is why I love doing YouTube, because you can help each other. Men should be talking to each other. Men should definitely be talking to each other. Enough about this gay homosexuality thing. Talk to your best friends. Talk to your best friends about how to make your life better, because sometimes they will push you in the right direction. I'm pushing you to learn to wear your best clothes. Like, honestly, show off that body. You've been fucking working in a forge, man. You're not some big day, pile of flesh. You're a real man. Show that fucking off. I take my pictures and I show a little breast me now and then, because tranny's gonna do what a tranny's gonna do, and it's exciting. It's exciting.
No, I get you there, because I feel a lot better now than I did whenever I started, because when I started, my stomach was out to here, and now that's the best I got. So yeah, it's going away, and I'm very happy for my weight loss journey. It's making me feel better, and it's making my health so much better. Like, the only thing that it made worse was my seizures, and it's because I didn't have as much cushion when I slammed into stuff. So if I start shaking and flopping around and I start hitting stuff, I feel it a lot more. But that's the only problem. And I'm colder. That's the only other issue. I'm colder. Why do you think I wear armor all the time? But it is 95 degrees in my bedroom. So not wearing the armor right now.
95 degrees, all because of you. It's like, nothing wrong with the 80 days. Nothing wrong with a little bit of tit me. Yeah, baby. Come on. You know you're sexy. You know you're sexy. You have how many subscribers? You think you got that on Just Personality? Hey, look at them fantasizing about you. Come on.
I think I got 1,766. Somewhere around there. That many subscribers.
Okay, that's that many people who said that you're attractive.
I never thought of it that way.
Yeah, it is. It really is, because you think about the people in the chat who've been rude, the haters and stuff like that. How many fans do they have?
I have no idea.
None, because they don't have a channel. They don't have a channel. So how many fans could they possibly have? Because they don't value themselves. They want to put down other people, but they don't value themselves at all. You value yourself, and guess what? America and people around the world have said that you have value. So you have to believe it. I have to believe it. Even with my PTSD from military sexual trauma, I still have to believe that I'm an attractive person. And I can't let this stupid fucking California ostracize me and keep me prisoner in my own fucking state. I have to do what you're doing and just be out there in the world, even if it's fucking difficult. Because guess what? I deserve to be worshipped, and you deserve to be worshipped all the time.
That's how it goes. And that's everybody. Everybody deserves love. Everybody deserves someone in their life who is dedicated to them. Even if it's something as simple as a little girlfriend. And what I mean by a little girlfriend is not a little girl, being your friend. What I mean by that is a little woman in your life, a woman. Sometimes that might be all you need. Sometimes you just need good friends. And honestly, I'm pretty happy with good friends, you know? And I really do enjoy being able to sit here and talk about all kinds of different things, being able to sit here and talk about all kinds of different views, being able to see new people in new ways. It's absolutely amazing. So yes, YouTube is an incredible platform, and being able to come on here and talk about ourselves, being able to come on here and get to know everybody from all over the country, all over the world, is absolutely fascinating. And like you said, there's probably a few people out there that might spank bank to me, which if that's the case, thank you. But if not,
Shake it, daddy, shake it. Come on, give the people what they want. You have to understand that you're a sexually charged, sexual person. Like, that's who you are inside. You call yourself a pagan? Prove it, love. Prove it.
well, we gonna work on that. But right now though,
Confidence.
yeah, that's the main thing I got to work up. That's why I'm trying to lose so much weight. I'm trying to build my confidence up. And eventually, like I said, this is all getting buzzed off. And I'm going to be taking and eventually tattooing my head. I'm going to have probably the helm of all on top of my head. Either that or make my whole head tattooed to look like I've got a helmet on. Don't know yet. But I know one thing. No matter what it is, it's going to be something that matters a lot to me. It's going to be something that has symbolism behind it. And that's how it's always worked. I might even just do a crown of Yarmungandr around my head, and call that even. But I'll tell you this right now. Your lifestyle is your lifestyle. Nobody can tell you how to live. No one can tell you what to do. The only one that can tell you what to do is you. So remember that.
That is such a beautiful quote. Thank you so much for being on the channel today. I am going to do a couple of other things that I have going on. Thank you so much for coming by, Clint.
You're welcome, man. You're very welcome. Uh-oh. Did he leave already? Has he left already? Hello? Oh no. What happened? What happened?
Oh, okay. I guess he's gone, guys. All right, everyone. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you all so much for being a good friend to Ian. And as we all know, you know, the guy has a little bit of a quirkiness to him, but he's a great man. He really means what he's trying to do. And you guys make sure that you just support him a little bit, please, because he's actually a good man. He's different, he's quirky, he's a little freaky, but he's a good person. So remember, guys, see you from a swamp, later from a gator. Love your mama, love your papa, love yourself, be kind, always find a way to help. Catch you all here next time.